in the house today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I needed that.
Very considerate of you.
Who provided this new fancy?
He did, and he did, and he did.
Via CTSI.
It was a freebie.
Gave them away, didn't they?
Yeah, I didn't pick up any.
I'm so glad none of your family and friends were injured. I'm sorry they have to go through cleanup and rebuild and all that. I didn't realize it was so close to where you live. That's terrible, just terrible.
Can you send me the board packet again for today? I guess I deleted it by mistake.
I sure did.
I do that too. I don't care about this. Delete.
Yeah, and the problem is some of these are connected to emails, and then they trash a string.
That's where I get.
They get screwed up.
Good, Kel.
Testing. Not working.
The Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show today is March the 5th, 2020. Time is 9 o'clock a.m. Commissioner Prince, would you care to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Heard an interesting quote over the weekend about truth. One of the speakers at a conference said there are three things that you can count on to speak the truth: children, drunks, and yoga pants.
You can't hide anything with the yoga pants, that's for sure.
Holy smokes.
I was gonna start wearing some to these meetings.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. Everybody's wearing them. Why? Pajamas.
Madam Clerk to the board, would you conduct a roll, please?
Commissioner Flowers.
Present.
Commissioner Candace.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
Oh, he
And
is.
clerk of the board,
Let me try
Mark
again.
Candace.
Here.
You better get your,
Present.
that was weak.
Present.
There.
Well done.
Audience introduction. Thank you.
Could you speak up? I couldn't hear that.
Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen.
I have none, sir.
None.
And I don't know that it needs to be an amendment necessarily, but I would like to be able to request a 10-minute break at 10:30. I'm going to ask Kelly to remind me of when that happens.
Why?
Personnel recognition today,
Oh.
so if that's all right. Okay, approval of minutes, I don't believe we have any.
No.
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 Commissioner items, Commissioner Canada, would you like to start?
Sure. Okay, since last meeting, several things have happened. Good. And if you recall, we were talking, the Saddle Club, after the last board meeting, went through all the workshop, looked at all the tools and necessary and the materials and got a team going. That was a good meeting. I did talk to Fred White about trenching. He has a trencher. And in fact, Scotty Camper had talked to him originally, and they didn't hook up on when they were looking for cost. But Fred does have a trencher.
A trencher or excavator?
Excavator,
Okay.
I should say.
Okay.
And he also does that. I mean, he's got the materials, and he thinks he can do the materials and do it for a lot less than what we've been tossing around figures on. So I asked him to get a hold of Glenn or Jerry Livengood and Scotty to figure out how they're going to handle that. And so that's good to know. He's got it. We don't have to pay the money to go rent one and then work it. And I also told him there was the additional work to dig a, what was it, beside the trench there was a vault or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's some work down in Wetmore I think they were gonna do too.
Yeah. So he'll talk with them. Then I've had several interactions with the airport contract for the AWAS, and I got that done. We did get the package, getting the contract package together. They want 3 copies sent in, and it looks like 10 days is all it's going to take to run through their chain, so we should be able to get started before July, which was our estimate, and that would maybe get started as early as May.
If I can, Bill, what is the purpose of adding this? Does this allow more airplanes to come in, different?
Safer. And what it allows also is a network of weather reporting stations across the state that assists in the air traffic flow for private pilots and commercial pilots. And it's an automatic weather observation that has the barometric pressures, temperatures, winds, pertinent data, ceilings, and all that. And so it's also useful in an approach to an airport to get that weather. It's a requirement to have the nearest weather reporting to be safest. So as you recall, the Yacht 6 guys want to put in at some point in time an approach, so this would be vital to having that be a real approach.
Got it. Thanks.
So it's very important, and then there's only 2 airports in the whole state that didn't have, that are state airports or county, municipal, and we were one of 2, and there's 1 left now. I don't remember where it is. It's a big deal.
Good.
Then I've had several conversations with Carmel and the fiber optic guys. They are pulling together their war report, their weekly activity report. It should be here this afternoon, and I'll get it to everybody. Had a good interaction. They did. They talked to the tower guys, Bogle and Mullen. Had a meeting with them, and they all have agreed that it's a good thing that we need to integrate and both programs. I do want to talk more about that at the end of the meeting during public time. Don't need to get into it now because we're going to meet with Charles on tomorrow. So there's not any issues. It's just a matter of coordination and things that I want to get on the table later. And let's see, a couple other items. Got a precinct meeting going on. We're going to have a caucus time here on Saturday, and so that just wanted to remind everybody that that's playing
That's in
out.
Wetmore, right?
There's several different. They're all over the
Oh, they're
place.
all over.
The
3 different locations.
Democrats are meeting in the library. There's the Lang Hall is precinct, my precinct. Where's precinct 2, Tom? And or
That's
Wetmore, and then
Wetmore.
3 is
School.
Schoolhouse. And then the Justice Center RFP. I think we're going to talk. I think we're going to get are we getting a report today?
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that. And it's looking good. One last thing. Oh, what did we end up on the wolf issue in the county? I want to make sure I'm talking the same thing.
Okay.
We decided that wasn't a good thing, right?
We voted
To not
support bringing gray wolves
Right.
into Colorado.
and recognized at that same time we do have other wolves that are coming from the south and around us too, right? I mean, we just don't want to.
We didn't want to introduce new ones in. If you're already living here, your grandfathered in. Oh, your wolf fathered in, okay? I don't know what to say. We're not going to
Okay,
bring new
I want to
ones
make
in.
sure that I'm saying the same thing we all agreed to.
Yeah.
That's all. So I've
The
been
wolf
asked that
fathered in.
quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I think the cattle women are. We're going to have Sharon Berry or somebody speak on
We're
that.
not going to open season on wolves that I'm aware of. We just rejected the concept of reintroducing
More,
gray
a
wolves.
predatory animal that.
Well,
from an
they're
agri-
horrible, but unfortunately, what am I going to tell you?
Yeah. All right, it's all issues right now that I've been sitting on top of.
Okay. Commissioner Prince?
Thank you. I met with a group, it wasn't really a group, it was 4 people from Quaina Verde wanted to whine about cows again. And I kind of explained to them that the cows.
This is after Shannon's.
Yes.
Okay.
They're not satisfied.
Have they gotten my letter yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because Shannon just sent that out about 2 days
No,
ago.
it was before that.
All right.
And I tried to explain to them that, you just need to follow the law, and that's all we're going to do, and it's a subdivision, and we don't regulate subdivisions. please, there's just nothing we could do. Lobby your state legislator to change the laws for open range, and, then we have something to do, but that's
Right.
beyond our purview. I also met with Tourist Board. They have their regular meeting on the 10th, but I met with multiple members of that to discuss filling vacancies, which I believe is on the agenda also. I want to talk about, I think I'll probably wait till we talk about the RFP committee. I met with them here, and one of their, just a preview of what I'm going to, what they're suggesting. They're suggesting that they really could use some more expertise in grant writing. And we just kicked around the idea of maybe putting out an ad in the paper for an RFP on an hourly basis, as needed only, for someone who could give us more expertise. They felt that Under Sheriff Barr did a wonderful job, and since he's retiring, maybe he'd be interested. No one's approached him. I'm just bringing that up, but that's the kind of thing they're thinking about, just to get some, we're talking about a multi-million-dollar project. If we spend $1,000 to get the best expertise, I think it probably sounds reasonable.
I understand, but I just had a quick, that brings up
Sure,
a question.
sure.
Why do they need a grant now?
They want to
Or
get
they
it
wanna get a
ready.
grant
They
now.
want to get the process in place so that when we are
Oh.
ready to apply for the grant, we have a grant writer. We could say, hey, Sally, Bob,
Well, I'd
Joe,
love to
come
have
on
some
in.
grant writers. We need it for the airport, we need it for, Justice
And really,
Center.
that was my feeling when they talked about the Justice Center. I'm thinking, if we can really find a
they'll be going after
professional grant
grants.
writer, so I thought
Okay.
that was I thought that was a reasonable request. Let's see, what else did I do? There's probably more, but I can't think of it. Just day-to-day stuff, talking to people about what's going on.
Okay, good. I just have a couple things. One, I would move to ratify the writing of the handwritten checks in the amount of $54,788.53. It's been moved and seconded to ratify those handwritten checks. Discussion? $54,788.53. And the largest portion of that was for the 35,000. Let me find that real quick. Give me just a second here.
for the attorney.
Yeah, okay. About time.
37,800 was for our first quarter dispatch services to Combined Regional Communications Center in Canyon City. So that was the lion's share of that. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of ratifying the action of signing the handwritten checks, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. Buddy boy, how are you? Good. The other thing is, I just wanted to let you know, Ivan talked to me about changing his hours when daylight savings time hits initially, to move those from 9 to 1 instead of 8 to noon. He says, there's not a lot I'm going to do in the dark when I get here, so I'd just soon wait and come in at 9, and I said I would bring that up, and if there's no objections, I will let him know.
It's a
that's
good
fine.
idea, actually. It happens this Sunday too, doesn't it?
Is
Yeah.
it this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
This weekend.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
all I really had.
I'm fine with it.
You'll lose some sleep again, Clint. I know you lose sleep every day.
I just worry about you guys all the time.
Yeah. Upper Ark, I don't have anything.
When is that conference called? Isn't it sometime very soon?
The water forum,
Yeah.
It's,
oh, yeah,
I
let's
have it
see.
somewhere on my calendar because I need to call in.
I thought it was,
Before going to April, they'll send another email out.
yeah,
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
April 23rd.
Thank you.
Okay, attorney items?
Well, first of all, you'll all be thrilled to know I can be here tomorrow after all.
Oh,
Darn it, I was,
Take back my
Well, let's
comments.
let's put the meeting back on the schedule then, shall we?
The Cleary called me yesterday, they're not delivering the materials until Monday morning now, so
Okay.
it was supposed to be tomorrow, so I'll be here tomorrow. The only other, well, that lawsuit that I filed that you'd authorized.
Sorry, sir. Didn't mean
Okay,
to.
yeah, they were
disrupt.
a little noisy in here. That lawsuit, there was service of process. The summons and complaint was served on February 27th by Buck Wenzel, so Jackie Hobby hasn't heard anything from the individual that was sued yet. We'll see what's going on there. Lastly, Donna Hobby said she wanted to give me a heads up, this was a few days ago, about, and I'm not sure what the details were, except that Charles Bogle was talking about trying to get some kind of a line of credit. And I don't know if he's talked to any of you about that. I assume
With
it has
who?
something to do
with us?
Well, no, I guess it's something to do with the broadband. I'm honestly not sure, but I mean, the short answer is the county can't do that because you'd have to pledge property as security collateral, and county can't do that. So I think it was to guarantee he had a quick flow of money while he's waiting for the other money to come in, but you can't do it that way.
Yeah,
I knew
and
nothing.
you know,
We'll
I
talk
don't
about
know
that
what this is
tomorrow.
about. I haven't talked to him. It may be about this $98,000 DOLA grant.
Well, that was kind of my belief, but it could be attainable housing too. I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, he'll be here
Well,
tomorrow.
it shouldn't be attainable housing from the last meeting I attended, but,
Okay, then it must be the,
and
DOLA
that's
grant.
probably, that DOLA grant's probably a reimbursement grant.
Well, I can tell you, it's probably the tower deal, and I can get into some of that with what I want to talk about at the end of the meeting.
okay, and I didn't want to
There
go
is a
into it
reason.
beyond that, just to let you know that
Well, we can ask him tomorrow, cause he'll be here.
okay, we can't finance something with a line of
Right.
credit, and,
Yeah.
so that's all I had.
Okay, all right, good. Administrative assistant, I thought there was, I don't know. Would you have anything for us this morning, ma'am?
One day we're gonna be surprised.
She might-
Love it. All right, public comment. If public has anything they'd like to discuss that's not on the agenda, we will do that. Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking about maybe tomorrow afternoon if you guys are available to do a workshop over COVID-19. And then the plans that we already have in place as a county, and then some input that I need from you guys to put some stuff in stone.
Okay.
Tomorrow after the meeting, if that's possible.
Just with the commissioners or?
Commissioners, me, and public might be able to be there, then great. She's been
What's
under
it
the
for,
weather?
again?
COVID-19.
I'm available.
Right.
I'm really not, but if I need to be, I will
Yeah.
change my plans.
Yeah, I just want
Is there
everyone
any
to know,
decisions
as of right
or
now,
what-
It's not in Colorado. We're good for now.
It's not a decision meeting, you're just, it's
As
an
soon as-
update.
No, it's for if it does happen, we have plans in
Here's
place.
plot
I
processes.
wanna brief you guys on that plan, the process that we have in place, and some thresholds that I need you guys to set or think about setting, for the courthouse.
Any chance we could do it Monday? I mean, I could,
Yeah.
I'll rearrange my schedule if I need to. This is too important not to be here.
I think Monday will work. I'm just going from memory. Yeah, Monday morning should be fine. I was just, the sooner the better.
Does
So
Monday,
you gotta-
does Monday morning work for
It
you
does.
folks?
Yep.
Monday'd be bad, I can't do it tomorrow.
Great. So it's Bill's fault we're not doing it tomorrow, not mine.
No, it's your fault, because I could be not doing it first if she'd have asked me first.
Okay, what time would you like to meet?
Whatever works for you guys.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is great.
Tom, there was something, is there something on the upper arc tomorrow afternoon?
Tomorrow
I don't
afternoon?
know how it got on the calendar I have.
Not that
I don't
I'm
have
aware
anything
of.
on it.
Maybe that was a typo or
Carol.
something.
That workshop will need to be posted.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, 9 o'clock Monday. Thanks. I knew you were on top of it, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you're gonna give us a briefing.
Anything else, public comment? While we're at it, I would ask if we could do introductions. Some of you came in after we had that. Bob, would you like to start?
Sure. I'm Bob Swanson with the Tourism Board, and we're making
Welcome.
good progress.
Go ahead.
I'm Deborah Snell, and I'm hoping to be on the new board of directors.
I'm Marty Holmes.
You're along for the ride.
I'm Candace McDaniel, and also appointment for the Tourism Board.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming.
We do that so we have a record of people that were at the meeting, and if people come in later, we'll either, if Kelly doesn't know them, we will ask them to do the same to identify themselves, so. Rooster? All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here, too. If there are no other public comments, we will move on to staff reports. I think landfill is prepared to give a report. Good morning, sir. Timing's impeccable.
Are we bumping elbows just to be safe?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what you guys did.
As long as you guys don't kiss, I'm fine.
Don't worry about me. I've spent 2 days in airports and a conference with 5,000 other people, so I should be good. Yeah.
But I just got
Yeah,
off a
you're
cruise
talking
ship in
about it.
California. Good morning, guys. Welcome.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good morning, Rusty. How you doing, buddy?
My neighbors arrived.
Good, good, good. So,
Oh, these are new, updated.
We don't have the latest?
pardon? Oh,
Hit the
I
button,
don't
Turn
know.
Rusty.
your mic on, so it's that button right there in the base.
Wasn't a
push it.
question.
Gotta speak in, there you go.
I don't think anybody asked you to do
You gotta
that.
lean forward like this the whole time.
That's right.
Only once more.
You can aim it down or pull it toward you, Rusty.
Is this, yeah, it is different than the one that you had sent us,
So
isn't it?
we're already ahead of last year. I didn't bring last year, but
Okay.
we're ahead by probably around 3,000, so that's.
Wow, good, yeah. Okay.
Did you get this letter?
Yep.
We did.
Good,
Couple of things in there of interest, isn't there?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and so those wet dry wells that we have out there, that they drilled when the landfill opened, we don't have to monitor those
all
anymore.
right,
They talked about doing that, right? Not doing it.
Right. So that's good.
yeah, that's
I'm like,
huge.
you know, what for anyway, you know, it didn't make any sense to me
Right.
anyway, so.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we hope then that their comments about will these wells suffice for the new expansion,
Right.
we'll have to wait and see if they will or not, but,
They're there.
I'm glad that they want to collect some more data. I think that'll just strengthen our position. I mean,
Sure.
unless something really geologically changes, I would think it'd be to our advantage. The more data they have, the easier it would be for them to say, you know what, we're good, we don't have to line that or whatever, so.
The surveyors will be out there the 17th and 18th to survey the expansion
month.
area,
March,
right?
okay.
So that'll be good. Then the engineers can really move forward with everything.
And as I recall, when we reviewed the vouchers, I believe you spent some money in that realm, so that's cool.
3,000
Yeah.
so far, so
Good.
almost 4,000.
We will be in Wetmore at a commissioner meeting on the 18th, but
St. Patty's Day.
I might try to get out there on the 17th.
I guess they use drones,
Oh, cool.
yeah. So
Wow.
that'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see how they do that,
What's
Yeah.
that?
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm dying to ask, so whenever it's appropriate.
Yes, sir.
Did our new employee arrive?
He will be here tomorrow, the 6th,
Okay,
Good.
to start.
okay, good,
And Jeff is back. He's on light duty, but he is back.
okay. Light duty meaning he can operate a piece of equipment or no?
No, I'm not gonna put him on any
Yeah.
equipment. I have him redoing some signage out there and picking up papers and that kind of stuff, so.
It's maybe not, I mean, I may need not in your realm, but has the price of cardboard moved any you wear?
It is up a little.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's what I had heard.
And so Dennis is actually gonna get a truck here probably in a couple of weeks, I think he said.
Excellent.
That'll be good. And I have this. I don't know if the commissioners here have seen this before,
What is,
but it's the covenant for the old landfill out here.
Oh,
And every year they send this to us and then we check off that we're in compliance with everything they want us to do. So I will sign that and get it back to them.
what do we have to do?
I have to go out there and look at the cap on the trash and make sure it's not sinking and that there's no,
Outgassing or anything?
yeah, there's no real damage going on out there. Trash isn't popping up. The grass is growing good and all the no trespassing signs are still up and not blown across the countryside. So,
or nobody's gone in and excavated out
right.
Bunch of
Nobody's
trash.
running cows in there, you know.
dug up a bunch of diapers.
Right. We pulled out a lot of tires out of there about 3 years ago that popped up.
Really?
So there's things that you just have to watch out there, but no monitoring anymore or anything.
Do we need to sign that, or is that for your signature? I didn't really look.
I'll sign it and I'll tell them, they still have covenant signatory Lynn Atterbury, so I'll have them change that to probably
Put it to the chair.
the chair, yeah. I'll have them change that. But I'll sign this and get it back to him. I want to show it to Brian though. So I'll mail it tomorrow sometime.
Okay,
I think that's it.
all right,
I'll
sir.
be with him next month for the commissioners meeting too, so. And next month is the quarterly reports, and so I'll help him with all that, just get him going.
Excellent. Spoke with his mom, said they were moving here this last weekend apparently, so.
Yeah, I think they're all good.
Yeah. For the
Live, so.
audience's benefit, we hired a new landfill manager, and Brian Lockhart, who graduated from school here, is scheduled to start tomorrow. So we're excited about that. Mr. Rusty's retiring, but has agreed to kind of help the transition period, so we appreciate that. Thank you.
You betcha.
Anything else, sir?
think
Skid steer
that's-
doing good?
I think that's it for now.
You have a backhoe out there, correct?
Right? That we got from Wetmore.
So, there are some plans to install a trap shooting range on the sheriff's firing range.
Need to speak up in there.
And so I'm wondering if at some point we could borrow that backhoe to go down there and dig a pit to pit in the trap house itself.
Oh, yeah.
I think the plans are 3 feet in the ground and 2 feet out of the ground versus roading one all the way out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's right there.
Okay. I told Sheriff Byerly and company that I would ask about that, so
Yeah, no problem.
7 by
That's it.
7 foot square by 3 feet deep, so it wouldn't be a lot, but,
Right.
okay. perfect. Okay, thank you, sir, I appreciate that.
Got the loader too, if they need that for anything
Okay.
down there.
Okay. I would guess probably do that on a Friday or Saturday. I don't know, see. But it'll be a while yet, so if you
Okay.
think of it, you might mention it to Brian,
Alright,
so.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm scheduled to meet with those folks here in the next week or so. All right, sir, thank you very
Okay.
much. Appreciate it. Good
Want
job.
me to just leave this on, or?
It
Yes.
doesn't matter. Yeah. you can leave it on.
We have
Good
Gary,
job still.
Gary is coming in.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And before we move on to our next staff report, I would ask if you came in just recently and have not introduced yourselves, if you would do so. Miss Lisa, would you start, please?
Is that all you want?
Yeah, it's fine.
And Wilson.
Ann Barker. Peggy Collins.
Wait, Pettis.
Jackie Shepherd.
Good, okay. Tourism, by golly, love it. And others. Got it, Kel? We good? Okay. Thank you, folks. I appreciate that. Next staff report, Road and Bridge, Mr. Gary Hyde. Good morning, sir. How are you? How's it going,
We
sir?
say Gary.
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
Let's
Don't lean
see.
back too far, you gotta be close to that.
Okay.
Yeah, you get
Pull it
yelled at.
closer to you. It doesn't have to stay there. Just make it comfortable.
Okay. How goes the battle?
Oh, it's going.
Muddy,
okay.
right?
Yeah, it's muddy. You know, we've got a lot of snow melt with these warmer temperatures. We're finding some culverts that are blocked with ice, so it's creating some issues for us. You know, the water's going over the roads.
Right.
And some places there aren't culverts, and there need to be, so we're trying to address that issue. And then we have that issue out here on 255 where we had some water
Right.
settled in that bottom. We're out there working on that today. We're gonna get that taken care of. And one of the things we're having to deal with right now is these television stations that are free to the public.
Right.
And anyway, we're getting some pretty negative phone calls, phone messages pertaining to that. We had that power outage here.
Pertaining to what? Explain that.
This free television that people are getting in Custer County, and it's been that way for 20 or 30
Yeah.
years or more. But
And
anyway.
And you're getting the phone calls because it's not functioning properly, or?
Yeah, there's one channel that's not functioning properly, and it's since we had that power outage here about a week or a week and a half ago. And Vince is the one that's kind of taking care of going up there and trying to get that equipment back up and running, but we've not had any success doing that. So he's been on the phone with the television station out of the Springs, and
So they're accountable for the equipment
well,
or what? I don't think so, are they?
well, I'm not sure. I actually think it belongs to the county,
Yeah.
but, you know, it broadcasts their station, so
Right.
they work with us to keep that stuff going, but Vince has talked to Roger, and he spoke with the tech down in the Springs, and they made it sound like they were gonna send somebody up, but people are frustrated that they're not getting their free TV right away, so. I know Roger's taken that equipment to the Springs to get it worked on in the past, and that might be what we end up having to do, but,
So I'm very confused because I received several of these phone calls. In fact, I think I mentioned
Really?
it. Yeah.
Wow.
well, go ahead, Jay.
Here's what I'm confused about. It's their equipment. I know we agreed to plow the road to get to the towers on the hill. I was under the impression that Roger basically reset it if the circuit breaker broke, but I didn't know we went into that little shack and did electronic work.
No, they
Yeah.
always
Well,
have.
that's where the equipment's at, is in that shack,
Right.
so to speak, and,
Roger
when the-
has historically worked on that stuff.
yeah, he's gone in there and done that, and then he since has shown Vince how to do that, so Vince took over that responsibility.
It was a informal and it turned into a formal agreement when way back when.
I honestly wish that somebody, and our problem is we don't necessarily have the time to be going up there. I mean, even when it was functioning, for some reason, the piece of equipment was on its way out. So about every day or two, we were having to go back up there. We would get the phone calls and we'd have to reset the equipment. So we're having to take time out of our day to get up there and work on this thing, and we simply don't have that time to be going up there all the time and trying to work on this. And it's, you know, it's actually something that ought to be done by, say, for instance, Vernon, the IT guy,
Yeah.
honestly,
He
because
certainly is not gonna have time. I mean, it's an
Right.
hour round trip just to drive.
Right,
there.
and even
It
if you
is.
can get
Alone
up
to
there,
work.
it is, you know, we've gone up there half a dozen times in the last 2 weeks.
but you're
so-
still gonna have, even if it was Vern, you're still gonna have to clear the right of way.
Well, I
You
don't
gotta
mind
get up there.
that, you know,
Yeah.
that doesn't have to be done that often.
I had a private citizen who was so frustrated, he said, if you'll train me, I will volunteer to do this. Do you have an interest in having a civilian volunteer maintain it?
Sure.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, I think the next best approach is to take it offline, but
I don't know.
if we can find somebody that would,
Well, I know I've gotten threats that saying
Well-
if we don't get it back online, they're gonna go to the
Sure.
commissioners, you know, and things of that nature, which,
Well, the way we can handle it now, my view is, it is, right now, because that's historically it is his responsibility right now.
whose responsibility?
The road and bridge have an agreement to clear the right of way, and then by either history, precedence, or whatever, they're maintaining it. So, I think if somebody wants to volunteer to be the other part, he has to grade it up there once in a while, that's a fact. And why don't we let Gary go work, and if he can find somebody, give him the name, Jay, and then we can come back and let's see what the options are. We don't have to work it,
I'll pass that, I'll get the name and phone number.
yeah, I
get
think
it.
that's a good idea.
yeah, I'd sure like to turn it over to somebody else. I mean, to me,
Sure.
that's just
doesn't-
not in the scope of.
Doesn't
what
have
road-
anything to do with road and bridge, that's for sure.
I
If
don't
you
know.
do that, you're gonna need a waiver of liability, so if it gets electrocuted
Right, you
up
have to
there,
make it
it's gonna
legal.
come back on the county.
Sure,
Yeah,
but let's look at other options, it's a good idea.
yeah. Well, and then a lot of individuals weren't aware that Road and Bridge was responsible for that stuff, keeping that thing online. Well, it got posted on Facebook that we are now.
Uh-oh, now it's
we
real.
might have to put in a second line just to field all the calls for the free. I mean, it's gotten that bad, honestly.
Well, and I feel like there's a difference between who's responsible and who's doing it. Just because you're doing it doesn't necessarily mean Road and Bridge is responsible for it. I don't know who is, but everybody seems to think it's a Road and Bridge thing just because
don't
they've
think
done it. I've never seen anything written down.
No, I haven't either.
Well,
Yeah.
Bill, you said there was some kind of written agreement. Is there something you're
No,
aware of?
I've never seen
Only
it.
thing I know was what I've learned in the past was that when Art Hibbs put it up there, and they cut a deal with the county, you know how deals were cut, shake a hand.
Yeah.
And they did it, and that's been a historic precedent since. It's always been that way.
Yeah, and it may have it may have done with the fact that we, you know, keep the road cleared. and
It
get up there.
is.
So
That's
therefore,
what
the road
happened.
and bridge.
So that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. So you're hitting the brunt of the impact is on you. So let's
Yeah, and
come
if
up with some
people were
ideas.
more understanding about it, you know, the fact that these things happen instead of climbing down our throats, and you know, that gets a little frustrating, honestly.
Well, I would recommend then if it happens again, yeah, say, you know what, that's exactly what you need to do is go talk to those commissioners.
Bring them on.
I haven't heard a word, so,
Well, there's force in numbers. I mean, I'm one dealing with these people, and Sherry, you know, but I don't know, it just gets a little.
You're the road boss, buddy.
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit if you encouraged them to come in here and visit with their commissioners.
Yeah, we do what we can, you know. If that equipment fails, we don't.
You got
have-
our cards, pass them out. Talk to
In fact,
any
I
one of
don't.
us.
I need some of those.
Really, I'm
cards.
serious. It's not just bring them into the meeting and let 'em
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Gotta hear from 'em.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things I had mentioned, so I'm glad you brought it up, was, or I had added to my agenda was a discussion about this Lookout Mountain thing, and
Yeah.
so certainly, probably need to get again, just another thing that this county's operated on for years without any policy whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
What else you got?
make a note of that real quick.
I wanted to get this to you. It's just a list of the Queen Verde roads that we don't maintain, so that you guys have got it,
Thank you.
just for your information.
Thank you.
There was a couple in question, like the Airport Way and then Clubhouse Road. I know Vince mentioned that, Dugan, that we didn't maintain Clubhouse Road, which we do a small portion of it. Not all of it, but a portion of it.
He was arguing with what you were looking at there.
Well, no, he wasn't arguing. He just, I think he didn't realize that we were responsible for on our UTEP system, we've got like 0.13 mile, I
Yeah, that's
believe,
what
that
you
we do
showed.
take care of. So he didn't realize that. We seldom ever put a blade down on it because it's not necessary, but
I wonder if this document should be attached to the minutes of that, or as an addendum to the resolution that we passed indicating the roads that we do maintain.
I think we did have one, didn't we?
well, no, I don't
What?
think so. Not
Didn't he have he showed us this before,
Now, we
But-
got a
And you
list
had-
of the roads that are maintained.
Are
yeah,
maintained.
that are maintained.
Not
These
that
are
are
ones that
not.
are not maintained.
yeah, I didn't have that for you.
So,
Yeah, not the maintained, yeah.
The non-maintained ones that are public access roads.
Yeah, I think it's a
That's
good
good.
idea to
Yeah,
add
it'd
this
be a
to
good
that.
idea.
So it's part of the file, part of the record. I
Mhm.
think it's appropriate in case someone comes in and says, what about X road?
And it's two other, almost 3 miles. that you don't-
Yeah, no, I think this makes really good sense to make part of the record.
council, would a motion be in order to vote on adding this as an addendum to the resolution?
That probably would need to be an agenda item. I mean, that should be posted if we're gonna,
Everybody can agree that
if
those
we're
are all
going to
roads.
modify that resolution at all.
Yeah,
Even
would
just
we?
attaching it as
Okay,
an
I was gonna
addendum.
say, just attaching an addendum would be modifying the resolution
I think
itself.
so. I think it should be an agenda
Um,
item.
Do you have a list of your resolutions, Kara? That would be probably a resolution to approve county-maintained roads, something to that. I know you sent me a list of those resolutions, but,
Yeah, that was
and then
after
maybe we.
September sometime.
I just think it would be good information to have this document along with that resolution.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would also ask Kara if you would then put on the agenda for tomorrow under new business, consideration of an addendum to that resolution, whatever number that resolution is when you find it. Thank you, ma'am. So based on this document, it's fair to say that the county does not maintain 2 3/4 miles of road in the Corona Verde subdivision. Because where I sit, you'd have thought it was 60 miles worth of roads
Oh.
that we don't. You know, this is the one all the squalling's about, really, right?
Correct,
I mean,
yeah.
it's 2.74 miles of road.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if you happen to live on the road that has 0.12 miles, it doesn't get maintained. I understand that is a big deal, but
Yeah. And, you know, like we discussed in the past,
Gave
it
it to
doesn't,
her.
it doesn't sound like a lot of
right,
lane miles, but
right,
it's the type of miles that it is.
right.
Well, they're not prepared to be in the first place, to be accepted then.
No,
Or they
no,
would have
they're-
been.
They're kind of like wide driveways is
Right.
what they are. I mean, they lack a lot
Yeah,
to make them,
not fair to
bring them up to county specs.
even call them county roads.
Um,
Can you give us an update on your employee situation?
Yes, I was gonna let you guys know, I did hire an individual, Heath Palmer. He lives out here on County Road 321, or 341. He's, approximately 34 years old. He had a construction business.
What was his name?
Heath Palmer.
Oh, Heath.
Yeah, and his business has gotten pretty slow. In fact, he's considering maybe just selling his equipment and probably staying on with Road and Bridge, so,
You hired him as an operator
yes.
to replace
Kurt Wilson,
who went?
he went to Wetmore.
Okay.
And then I've still got 2 openings, so I've got one individual that's applied that I'm considering.
Are you advertising currently?
Yeah. I had an advertisement, and I think it expired a week or 2 ago, so.
Put it on the website too.
Yeah, it is. I
Now.
think it is. It might not be now.
All right, sir, that's all I had. Anything else?
Oh, I was gonna mention that I'd like to have a workshop sometime so that we can possibly discuss what we might be willing to pay a replacement for Byron, because he's almost 62 and a half. I think he's considering retirement, so.
Has he announced retirement?
No, and
Announced concern?
I've asked him a couple of times, but it's hard to get an answer out of him, so.
Yeah, I've talked to him too, but
And-
he smiles.
I know him well. I mean,
Yeah. But I've got an individual that's applied that's really interested, that's got good qualifications. He works for Wagner Equipment right now as one of their field service techs, so.
So let me ask, why do you feel a workshop's necessary? I mean, you hire people all the time for your positions. Is this something out of the ordinary?
Well, we generally don't hire mechanics, and, you know, based on his qualifications and what the second in charge mechanic is getting paid right now, I'd like some input from you 3 on what we feel we could pay somebody like that with his qualifications, because I think he's gonna be a long-term mechanic, so, I mean, we can't lowball him by any means with his qualifications to get him on board, but.
Yeah, but you have a feel for it. I mean, Jay's got a good point.
Yeah,
You
I,
need to give us a recommendation. We can give you a thought, but I don't
Yeah.
think we need a workshop to do that.
okay.
I mean, you're the boss. Tell us what you're doing.
Kind of fits into your budget,
Well,
doesn't
yeah,
it? I mean,
exactly. I mean, I've got
you
my
can make
thoughts,
that
but I just wanna,
determination, I would think.
I wanna find out if you
Yes.
folks are agreeable to it.
That way
So.
we would, in the normal course.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring
No,
it to us.
I'm fine with just taking the lead on this and just doing what I feel is best, as long as you guys
Yeah,
have the confidence in me.
I think
No.
that's fine. If you want to shoot us your thoughts in an email, we can look at that prior to a meeting, and we can talk about it next staff report, or if you feel like it's something we do need to get on an agenda item, glad to do that. But
Well, and I can even do that, you know, put something in an email and send it out to you all 3 and get your input on it and get your thoughts. And it can be handled that way just as well, too, so I'm good
Give
with
us
that.
some
You're always welcome to come here and ask for a workshop. I was just wondering if this one.
It doesn't sound like he's very welcome.
Workshop's a 4-letter word.
You both made it pretty clear.
Window, I'm checking out.
It is. I mean, we don't need to do them if we don't have to. So
No,
tell us
that's
what we're doing.
fine.
Give us some options.
Sure. No, I'm good with corresponding through email to do it, so.
All right, sir, anything else?
No, I think that's
Okay.
it. Pardon?
So, yeah, so I keep seeing people posting their mud hole, you know, and maybe the paper needs to say, welcome to mud season. You moved here, you get wonderful mountains, but just be aware, you're gonna get mud too.
Yeah,
It's not something you can control.
I wish I could. And you're exactly right. There are certain situations that we can, you know, be proactive and prevent in the future, but not all of it by any means. I mean,
It's part of our life here.
unfortunately, yes, it is.
It
And
is.
most people are pretty understanding, but then not all.
All right, sir, thank you, appreciate it.
Right on time.
I think our new sound system just paid for itself. You already used it very, very well.
I stuck it right in his face.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
You can hear him.
Wonderful.
Next, staff report, Department of Human Services. Ms. Laura, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Use that microphone is right there, isn't it?
Yes. How are you?
Good.
You can tip it down more.
I just want to
Make
tip
me
it
do
back.
this. Well, you gotta get
Just like,
As
my
long as you're
gosh.
not more than a half inch away from it.
Well, I'm gonna scoot up. Maybe. Jeez, okay.
Do it.
Just
I'm
a
trying.
second here.
Yeah, you are trying.
I'm trying. I don't know what I'm trying about, but I'm trying. You're finding your stuff,
Yep,
right?
yep.
All I have to say is we're in a new year, so there's nothing, we just started, because this is
Right.
January's report. So there's not any red flags or anything yet. Use the word yet, okay.
There's no graphs or
There's
anything.
nothing there. No, I got some graphs, but there's nothing, yeah. There's nothing that's, glaring or anything. So that's where we are with that. You guys have any questions about it, any of them?
So I see
See what
that
you're thinking about.
February is not reported here,
No, this is a January report. I don't have
strictly
February.
January.
I don't have February out yet,
Okay.
because I haven't closed the books on it yet. Okay? So this is just January, because I've just reported to the state for February, so
Okay.
this is just January.
Got
So
it.
there's, like I said, we just started, so there's not much going on as far as things we need to be concerned about.
What's going on with your vehicle situation?
Well, I'm trying to get some bids, and I haven't had a chance to do that, because we've been really swamped. So I'm hoping, well, next week's not looking good either, because I'm gone a few days, but I'm hoping to be able to get a couple of bids. Shannon Byerly sent me a thing, but, and then, which really didn't make much sense, and then Tom got something from him, but when I looked at those, none of the vehicles that I could see that they had up for bid on these areas were ones we were looking for. So now I'm just gonna go out to individual, dealerships and try to get bids on the ones that we're looking for. And we'll get a couple bids, and then we'll just take it from there.
Okay.
So that's where we are on that.
Good.
We're just busy, and so it's hard to get that done. And we're not, doing as many, visitations with the kids where we're going up and down the hills, so we're not having to transport as much now, so we're doing okay on that part of it, so. Okay, but yeah, we're working on it. And,
I wouldn't recommend using Rusty to help you. You'll end up with a skid loader to help.
no, I'm not gonna get Rusty, heavens, no, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Although he has experience buying cars.
Oh, does he? Oh, okay, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I thought Shannon, since he buys a lot of vehicles, and he sent me this weird thing, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. And then he sent me a bid, Tom got a bid thing from him, and I looked at that. And it was dealerships up in Denver and stuff, but when you open them up, they were just showing certain vehicles. I don't know, I'm gonna have to look at that again and find out what's going on with that, but they're all the way up in Denver, I don't know. But anyhow, we'll just see on that.
Good.
But I'm gonna try to just get some bids, and we'll see. So that's where I'm on that.
And you're down one employee, huh?
Yeah,
Gonna
we're-
replace,
not right now. We're gonna just see how it goes, because it's slowed down and we're not having to do all the visitations that we were doing before. And so we're hoping that we we don't have to do that. We're gonna try to do it ourselves. It's been a little hectic, because caseworkers have to get 40 hours of training every year. And since one of them was sick, she couldn't get her hours in before, because we have to do it by June. So now she's gone a lot, because she's trying to get all these hours in. So, but we're working that out, because we're only doing one visitation, but we do it every day. And so it takes some time, but we're working that out. So we're doing okay on that.
all right.
And that's about it. I do have gals coming down from the state on next Wednesday to do a review of the commodities. They check out the facility, and then we look at some internal paperwork, and we'll see how that goes. We do that once a year, maybe once every couple of years, because they didn't do one last year. So we'll be doing that. But outside of that, I don't have any major things.
Good.
So that's
Okay.
good.
All right,
And I'll get
thank
out of
you
your
for coming
way.
in, we
You're on
appreciate it.
time, we're on time.
Yeah,
Way to
see,
go.
I'm trying to just,
Nice job.
just be quick, not have problems. We're trying to avoid problems. Is that right, Clint?
Yes.
And if you want a workshop, you can have one.
Okay.
Oh,
I
she
may
can
have a
one.
workshop about the
Oh,
the vehicle, you know, yeah, I don't know. Okay. see you
All
guys
right,
later.
thank
Bye.
you. All right, next
Come on
item on
down.
the agenda is VSO. Good morning, sir. How are you? How you doing? Good. Good.
So, as far as the report is concerned, kind of down on new claims and things like that, but we've had a lot more food assistance, especially now with the food bank changing over. We've had a lot more new people coming in. I'm getting more post 9/11 veterans coming in. As far as what else we did, you already know that we did the food distribution on February 1st. I have completed everything that I need to do as far as my actual food bank in my office. The room is painted, locks are on, everything that the state wanted to make sure that I'm in compliance is all done. We're going to try to go and get more food on Saturday. Currently, I have 379 veterans in my computer files, and I have over 600 in my actual filing cabinets. As far as the other thing that we did in February, we had a meeting with the sharing center just to make sure that I was, making sure that I'm
Parallel.
working with them as best that we can, so that we're doing everything we can to provide food for as many people as possible. I did purchase the tickets for my June conference for the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, so we'll see how the coronavirus affects that.
Where is that meeting?
Atlanta. So that will be an interesting one based on the fact that there will be over 1,000 people in one spot, so we'll see what's going to happen on that one. Other than that, I got Citizen of the Year, so I think my popularity may be a curse, so.
I tell you, I've never heard a negative anything. All I hear is how wonderful it is, and thank you for your service.
Well, it is definitely making me run around like a chicken with my head cut off half the time in my office, trying to make sure that I'm taking care of everybody that comes in, but I'm happy to help.
I'll go ahead and move
Move
that.
it.
I'll
Go
go
ahead.
ahead and move that we approve the Veteran Service Office report for February 2020.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the February report for VSO. Discussion. I had a question on VTF, on your Veteran Trust Fund
Yes, sir.
requests. So that's the number of people that requested for stuff.
If
Are
they
we
came
to
in,
assume those were all
they were
granted,
all
or?
granted.
Okay.
The only issue that we're having is the state is very slow at our redistribution of funds. We are actually behind in some of our bills that we promised to pay for February, so we are not doing a March distribution because of that, to make sure that we can pay for the firewood that we ordered and any other utility bills and stuff like that. So food is still available, but the money situation is rather frustrating, especially when we have one of the
And
largest
you'll get
grants
it
in
when
the
you
state.
don't need it.
Yeah, we have one of the largest
As
grants in the
much.
state, and we're one of the smallest counties, but, it's still, we're dealing with one comptroller. And when you get time,
Yeah, I wanna talk to you then.
yeah,
Hey, take some of these too, cause
okay.
pass those along. I got a lot of experience counseling people.
Absolutely.
Okay, further discussion? Public comment? Sorry, we're not in public comment on these because these are staff report items. Apologize. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your efforts.
Just FYI, you are the newest person in the county ever to be named Person of the Year. It's almost always people who've been around for a long time, so you have made an impact, and
It's all
I'm trying.
downhill from here.
Well, I did forget to mention
Yeah,
that it's,
you
it's
reached the top
my 1 year here, and technically you guys are supposed to decide if you're gonna fire me or not. So, according to the state.
I move we do not.
I'll second that.
Yeah, we will, up for a 1-year review, which we will conduct that. Okay. So the chamber does a citizen of the year?
Wonderful.
All right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. The next item, staff report for CSU Extension. Good morning, how are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Doing well. Thank you for your report, appreciate that.
Gotta be closer to the microphone. That's my job, is to make sure you're close to the microphone.
Pull it towards you, Guinevere, it's easier.
Oh,
Yeah, you
I'll just sit closer.
pull it.
Whoa, that's really loud.
No, it's not, you're just not used to hearing yourself.
No, I talk quietly. So, we had our ad drop deadline on March 1st, and so we're at 74 members, which up by 2 from last year. We lost some to FFA, but I think that's the natural way of things. And then we had our weigh-in on Sunday, and 18 steers for the county fair, and
Wow, it's
yeah.
getting up there,
Yeah,
finally.
So that's between FFA and 4-H.
County and state fair, right?
Yeah, so some of those will go on to state fair, but we just get them all in and get them retinal scanned and tagged and everything. So
So the state fair guys don't show here?
no, you can't show
Can't,
at
right.
both county and state.
So you blew by what you do at the weigh-in. We've got finally, and I'm very excited about having people in the audience. That's fun because we get tired of talking to ourselves. Say again what happened at the weigh-in.
So all the members bring in their steers. We get an initial weigh-in so that when they weigh in at county fair, we can determine rate of gain. There is a weight, you can't be under a certain weight, and I don't know what that is right now, for county fair. So that's a way to show them where they're at within their project and calculate rate of gain, which hopefully will be an award that we give out next year.
So I think the minimum weight to qualify for the sale is 1,000 pounds.
1,000, okay.
I think, but.
Yeah.
And what else happens?
Um,
They get an
Oh,
ear
yeah.
tag?
Ear tagging. We have someone who does a great job. It takes out the old tag and puts it right back in the hole, so we're not piercing another ear. And then one of my colleagues in Extension, he came up and did retinal scans, and so that's a picture of the cow's eye. And that's what they use for state fair to be like, oh, this is the same cow
Right,
you
right.
nominated. So yeah, so that's all those pieces were there. So.
Yeah, and that was my point, Peggy, was here we are in Custer County, shooting retinal scans on beef animals to make sure that the identification of that animal is the same animal here that they take to the state fair in August and September. So, we thought, it was a big deal when they do a muscle scan,
Oh.
you know,
Yeah.
for carcass contest, but retinal scans, and they also do DNA testing on pigs for the state fair and other national shows. They have to send in a hair follicle and have that tested, so we don't do that here at our county. They don't have to send in follicle hair samples, but, to go to the big shows, they do. So,
Right.
yeah. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. So March is shaping up to be super busy. Speech practice is underway. We've got some planned small animal clinics, so how to show your lamb and your goat, those kinds of things. Shooting sports safety trainings, and a lot of the project meetings and practices will be beginning. Rachel's awesome. I'm so glad to have her. Yeah. And so as far as continuing on with 4-H and kind of reaching new audiences, because the club audience is awesome and I'm really happy with that, but we are tasked with reaching everybody in Custer County from that 5 to 18-year-old age range. So we have an opportunity to have AmeriCorps volunteers come in who are focused on providing STEM education, so science, technology, engineering, and math education to our youth. And we're looking at a day camp to help support that 8 to 4 every day of the week, because I'm not sure what people do with their kids most of the summer. So that would help with working families as well as give this enrichment piece throughout the summer.
Would that be a full fee?
I'm sorry?
Would you charge for that?
No, we would just charge for recouping our funds. We have guidelines through CSU on how we develop the fees that we charge. And CSU has been super supportive of the idea. There is an administration fee to get these AmeriCorps volunteers, and they're going to cover it for us. It's kind of like, here's your free stuff, next year you're gonna pay. But we'll take that. Yeah, and we have 2 former teachers who are interested in the positions, and so just making sure it works for everybody before we move forward.
A great plan.
Yeah. I really like cooking, so I'm excited to work with the Kids Council and get trained to do Cooking Matters, which focuses on nutrition education, proper cooking techniques, and I'll be doing that this Saturday. We got a Mule Deer Foundation grant. I know I've talked to you about that a lot, but we are developing a conservation camp with that funding to support just the education of conservation practices in Custer County. So it's looking like we're going to visit a ranch and do some education on field monitoring, looking at grasses, and calculating how to support both livestock and wildlife on a ranch. I've got a couple friends who I used to work with in the water world who will hook us up with some water quality testing, maybe even some fish shocking. And it sounds like we might have an opportunity.
Shocking.
Oh yeah, that's how you count fish in the creek.
You knock them out and count them?
Yeah, you measure them, throw them back in.
Belly them up.
Yeah.
So why do I even own a fishing pole? Give me a shocker.
I think there's only certain people who can
You
have
can
it.
use a 30-06 into the, does the same thing.
Yeah. It's pretty fun. I'll let you
bet.
know if
Please
you want to
do.
come.
I gotta see this.
Yeah. So we're we're really excited about that piece, and we just keep building on that, and it's still in the works. So I'll be excited to share with you what that will look like when it's finalized. One of my jobs at FAIR is to continue to provide education, so I'm hoping to also use those AmeriCorps people to do a education booth, like this is the cut of meats on Swine Day, or here's like the water trailer or something like that, just so we are meeting that educational piece. And then, as you probably know, 4-H does take up a lot of my time, but we do other things. We're gonna meet with one of my peers in Chaffee County and just talk about what Extension's role was in the Decker fire so that we can translate that to how to support Meredith should there be a fire emergency. Let's knock on wood. And we look forward to the Weed Advisory Committee and then other programming, which we're still working on. So,
Can you talk about recent meeting in Colorado Springs that we attended with
yes.
CU Denver?
Yeah, that did not go in here. That was pretty big. So, been working with the Fair Board on, they have 2 grants, one through DOLA and one through the Friends of NRA to support the development of their capital projects program. And so we met with DOLA representative Christy Doon, Jeff Wood,
Jeffrey Wood.
who's the designer from that DOLA CU Denver grant, and he had 2 or 3
People, students with him this time, 3
Yeah.
last time. Yeah.
and so really what we were hammering out was fulfilling the requirements of the DOLA grant, which is to have 2 community meetings to kind of share the plan with the community and get some feedback on what they think. We have a couple, did we decide on 2 or 3 designs? Can't remember.
3.
3. And get feedback from the community and really see, is this what you want? Is this what you want? What do you like? What do you don't like? All that information so that we get community buy-in, because I think everyone looks at this as an asset to the community, so we want it to be favorable by them. And Tom was there. Diane Rose. And so it was a good meeting. We kind of have a path forward, especially after the community meetings, what grants and things we're gonna go for once we get community support. So
Yes, for
Yes,
building
that
out
was
the
not
fairgrounds.
clear.
Probably it'll end up being a building to house a show ring and exhibit rooms, restrooms, kitchen, that kind of thing.
How come you're moving the checking account?
Good questions. So we have a CD currently, and we were gaining less than 1% of interest with a United Business Bank. And so we're just trying to be smart with our money and move it to Kirkpatrick offers 1.25%.
Quarter more.
Yeah.
Well, more than a quarter, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you were under,
like
yeah.
3.35.
0.35%, so.
And then additionally, it's not a huge amount of money, but we were getting a service charge of 41% on our checking, or 41 cents. I saw your face. So I knew I said
Sounds like-
something wrong.
Sounds like Bernie Sanders won.
And then not gaining any interest with our checking, so we were losing money every month. So just trying to be responsible and
Good job.
thanks with our money.
Well, I would move we authorize the Extension Office to move their checking account and a CD account from United Business Bank to the Kirkpatrick Bank with Guinevere Nelson, Rachel Selden, and Kelly Camper as signers.
Second.
Ladies? It's been moved and seconded to authorize moving of 2 accounts from United Business Bank to Kirkpatrick Bank. Discussion about that.
I was gonna ask, but it's fine, I'm good.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will let the record reflect that in the minutes, and we'll provide you with a copy of those minutes. We can do that if you need. If time is a crunch, you can get a draft copy of the minutes, or if you want to wait until we approve the minutes.
We'll wait.
Okay.
I suspect the bank has a form just for that, and we just need to put today it was approved. So
Yeah, I
it's
can.
normally how banks do that.
Yeah, that was just in the list of things
Yeah,
that we were.
Kirkpatrick gave him a list of stuff, and to show them a set of minutes approving that was one of the items,
Okay.
so.
Where are they hanging their shingle? I didn't read it.
They're right next to the post
Bassick.
office, just to the south of the post
Bassick,
office. Bassick
yeah,
building.
okay.
Okay, and then, speaking of money,
Okay.
it's a great lead-in, thank you. Obviously, you're aware that we're trying to get this whole trap range thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any funds in your realm to help with the construction of that trap house?
Currently, or funds that are accessible?
Would you have any in the next couple months?
Or availability, like a CSU grant or something.
I'm happy to look into that and see how that works within CSU's wants to support that. But as I did talk to Ted, is that right? Byerly.
Todd.
Gosh. I
And I'm
cannot get
talking
that.
about cash money, not grants.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a conversation that I would like to have with everybody involved. But certainly we want to use that as 4-H, and so, we could free up some funds, but.
I think maybe it's important that everybody understands what it is, not just a trap range to have fun with. This is actually put in for the school systems nationwide, and it is a sport that you can letter in, and it's only for those people, junior high through high school only, seniors.
Okay, yeah,
So it's a big deal. I mean, it's a great opportunity.
correct. Yeah, and
Scholarships.
And then we're going to partnership with 4-H as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the community. I mean, it would be open to the community at some point, so. And to that end, I also want to take the opportunity, you had mentioned the Mule Deer Foundation. Not every day we get some big mucky muck from the Mule Deer Foundation in our midst. Marty, we thank you for the work you do and the generosity of your organization. I know you guys give a lot of money to this county, so.
We have more to give. We have another couple $1,000.
Oh, good, good. Well, you give them to her and I'll try to get it from her. How's that? Yeah.
Good, we just appreciate the support too, because we can't do it without the volunteers.
Yeah,
People come to our events and
Yeah.
help us raise the money.
and when is your annual?
June 27th, the Saddle Club.
Okay, June 27th at the Saddle Club, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:35, yeah.
4:30, I believe.
So, yeah, I would encourage people to attend that because you guys probably don't get the recognition that you deserve because you do turn a lot of money back to primarily to the youth. I mean, there's other projects I know, but it's a great project. We just appreciate your work, Marty. You've been on that board for a long time, huh?
Yeah, I've been with him 9 years and been in the business 30 years.
Yeah, so.
So the 27th event is what?
Their annual.
It's the
Mule Deer
annual
Foundation Banquet.
Banquet, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how far this conversation's gone with you, but we're trying to get forward momentum to form up and pour the floor and the lid for that trap house and then lay up block walls and try to get that going. The initial driving force for that, because our shooting sports kids are going down to Penrose to practice and compete. And so last winter, Guinevere and I had a conversation about, man, we ought to be able to do something up here. And so somebody donated an electric trap thrower. So I believe we get the house built and the range set up, then they can compete here. And then subsequent to that, then the school, some individuals reach out to the school to get a high school trap and skeet club formed. So that's in the works as we go. So we appreciate anything you can do. All right, anything else, ma'am?
Not for me.
Gentlemen,
Keep up the good
thank
work.
you, thank you. If you haven't been up there, you need to go up and look at our office. They've done a great job
I did look.
cleaning their
I
office
know.
up.
That Rachel.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Our next staff report, integrated technology or internal technology. Isn't that weird to say? Yeah. I know why. I said internal technology. We always hear IT, right?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
How are you, sir?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
Before we get started, I just want to thank him publicly, because my laptop at home got screwed up because of my own stupidity, and I was gonna have to pay $300 to get, stuff out of it, but Vernon took care of everything for me.
Good.
For $290.
Oh,
That's a friends and family discount.
right. That's right. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, you
morning.
fixed mine on the fly,
Yeah, that was good. I'm glad it worked out.
in
I'm
and
really glad it
out of
worked out.
service, like a hamburger.
That was good. Excellent.
How you feeling?
Bout of food poisoning.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm doing all right.
Good.
It's had nothing to do with the coronavirus.
That's why I bumped his elbow on the way by.
Right?
Looks like you've been busy.
Busy. It's been about 3 months since I've been in here. The big thing I'll save for last. One of the exciting projects that I worked on was a new building-wide Wi-Fi system. I realized that the guest Wi-Fi system in here was dragging down the BOCC Wi-Fi. That's why we were having a lot of bandwidth issues with our live stream and such. And with other things, I created a county-wide employee Wi-Fi system and a building-wide visitors Wi-Fi system. So we'll put that out. We'll put the login out on the walls for the visitors system.
Separate servers or what?
Separate systems so that no one can see each other, and they don't. And some of them are bandwidth limited, so they don't bog down county business.
Okay.
So that was one of the issues. People coming in with phones and laptops, and everybody's logging in and just kind of drug everything down. So changing all that up.
That wasn't your secret project.
That's not the secret project, no. Let's see. Ongoing,
Well, first of all, we've switched all of the phones in the county over from AT&T to FirstNet. So that's saving the county about $5,000 a year. Excuse me. Ongoing, we are still dealing with some issues with FreeCom. You'll notice the GIS FreeCom data conversion. Conversion is the longest four-letter word in history, and basically they have their data is in one pattern and our data is in another pattern, and for their dispatchers to utilize it effectively, every time we do an update, it takes about 60 man-hours to reformat the data process. So I'm working on creating scripts and programs to streamline that process so that we don't have to go through that long deal. Basically, we have a certain amount of data in our GIS system from the assessor's office, about 20, 30 fields. They have about 60 or 100, and everything has to be named exactly correctly. It's boring and tedious, and like I said, about 60 hours worth of work to do it. We're working on streamlining that.
So it's automated as opposed to manual?
As automated as we can make it. That's what it'll be. Yep. That also helps us with the Everbridge launch. Everbridge is the company replacing Code Red. We've been working very hard with, Alex has been working very hard with Everbridge to get everything updated so that we're able to send out emergency notifications. How many people did we have signed up at this point?
Opted in 612, overall 2,500-ish.
Cool deal. So we're getting there. We are getting there.
Have
Let's
you
see.
gentlemen done that?
I have.
I did.
Did you? I haven't done.
We can hook your phone up if you want.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. You get all the Code Red notifications. So before we get to the last question, I did want to talk about the secret project.
It's not a secret anymore.
It's not a secret anymore, no. Alex has been working very hard, and we have created a new county website.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Wow.
Worked with all the
Good.
department heads
That's a
to
lot.
make certain that all the data is preserved and presented in a nice, neat, coherent fashion. Let's go to the, it's not live yet. We're looking at a preview. I'm waiting on approval for a .gov website so that we can become a .gov.
A real .gov and not
Oh,
a
thank
.gov,
goodness.
dot
I hate
.com.
those
Would
dot
always
com
be
things.
snowing
Dot
year
com.
round.
Well, if we want it to be, we have the options to change it. It's
I'm
a
a little
lot more.
tired of snow.
It'd be nice, you can
It's
do
not a lot more
snow in the
user-friendly.
winter and,
Will I be
Yep.
able to find anything? I know that open like the back of my hand.
I know, and I do too.
There's a search function on it now.
Yes, a search function. You can go anywhere in the website just by typing it in.
Good job.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Good
Does it
job.
have a counter built in?
What's that?
Does it have a
Yes, it
counter
does.
built into
Yes,
it?
it does. So
Good
you'll be able to see everybody that visits each page and, live stream functions and all that. So it's really nice. Alex has done a great job. We've worked with all of the department heads to make certain that it all came out well.
Just a question.
Probably next couple weeks. Yes, sir.
What program did you use to develop that?
We used Wix.
I know him well.
Okay. It's the same program that the sheriff's office, the sheriff's new website uses as well. So,
What a nice
Good.
upgrade.
Good.
I wanted to talk about the PIO position that we've been talking about and tentatively created, and I wanted to get some feedback on when we should start that and what your thoughts on the subject
public
were.
information
Yes,
officer.
thank you, sir. Public information officer. So right now we're utilizing Everbridge and we're utilizing the reverse code messaging and whatnot for, for notifications for both the citizens and the boots on the ground. A lot of the GIS work that we do overlaps into public information officer because of notifying areas and creating shapefiles for specific groups of people that will notify specific groups in case of an incident.
Including the public, right?
Including the public, yes. Yes, indeed. That's part of the Everbridge conversion process that we're going through. Alex is very instrumental in that, and and we had talked about implementing Alex into the PIO position, and I wanted to know if we were ready to do that, if we're ready to move forward. Alex would basically work with me 3 days a week, work with Meredith 2 days a week, and become a full-time employee.
So you got budgets in both accounts to cover it?
Well, that's one of the things we need to talk about.
I kind of thought that might be the issue.
Originally, we talked about the PIO absorbing some of the responsibilities of communications, which Roger Squire's been doing, pulling money from Road and Bridge, and reallocating that. But
You could pay it, you can't reallocate it.
oh, I don't know the process. So that was originally the idea, but I don't know what the upshot of that conversation was this morning with the working on the communication towers and whatnot. So maybe this is a conversation we have at a further time, but I wanted to make certain we
It is.
started the conversation so that we can get some resolution. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we asked, was to try to get some momentum going here. So, questions?
Yes. Have you looked into the requirements and the training to be a PIO?
Yes, we have.
This is
I actually started the
ongoing.
PIO training about 10 years ago with the posse, and I've kept up with that with the Office of Emergency Management. But we'd have to send Alex or whoever, eventually, but Alex right now to that training to make sure that we're up to par.
So I would think probably the next logical step here would be to draft up a job description for that, and then maybe a current description of how we would utilize, if it ends up being Alex, how that
Okay.
would split out for him personally, but
Okay.
that would be an addendum to a job description, right? And then maybe a brief outline of that formal training, the time involved in that,
Okay.
that kind of thing. I
Alright.
don't think we're ready to vote on that yet, but I think we need to get there eventually.
All right.
Do you have any feel for how much time, say a week, a month, or whatever, the PIO position is actually utilized? I mean, is that like, I know if there's a major incident, it's probably a lot, but on the day-to-day basis, what's your feel for that?
So Meredith and I broke down the job responsibilities of both IT and PIO and how they overlap and whatnot. And we found about a 50-50 split between job responsibilities that could be designated PIO versus IT. And I don't know on a day-to-day basis. I'd have to look at that. That's why we were looking at the 2 days a week with Meredith and 3 days a week with me.
So on that third day he's with you, you could be still doing PIO stuff.
If that was the case, I mean, I have plenty
Could
of
happen.
work to keep
Could-
me busy all the time.
Go back and forth.
So I have plenty of work to keep me busy on my side all the time. But that's part of the conversation we need to have, and I will break that down. I don't know on a day-to-day
I'm
basis.
just kind of curious, because it
Mhm.
would appear to me, and this is just someone from the outside looking in, that public information officer, if there's an incident, you're probably in front of the cameras and speaking to the public for many, many hours every day. But under most circumstances, like for the month of January, February, would there even been any interaction with the public?
No, it's not necessarily interaction with the public, and they wouldn't even actually be the person that would necessarily be in front of the cameras.
And what's
It's
the PIO job then? I'm so
to
confused.
to create information that is conveyed to either the commissioners or the sheriff or whatnot, maybe plot points, data points to hit specifically in a briefing they would prepare the information for the people that go in front of the cameras to make certain that the information that is being disseminated either through the media or out onto the web, that's the other part is a web-based interface, Facebook, the systems of interfacing with the public through the web. It would be the person that makes certain that all that information is in line with county policy, doesn't violate any rules or regulations, but disseminates the information properly that needs to go to the people.
Doesn't preclude them from standing in front of a camera if
No,
that's what
no.
the powers to be wanted, correct? I mean,
That's correct, that's
PIOs
correct.
do give
s-
interviews, radio, television.
Some
Yeah.
do. Some
Right.
some leaders like to be the ones in front of the camera instead of the PIO. It would depend on the situation, I guess.
I think to Jay's point is on, when there's no emergency, what's he do? And if, rather than preparing briefings, because there's no emergency, he would be
Right.
doing other things like, preparing or building the software, hardware,
The
processes,
infrastructures, yeah.
infrastructure.
And
That
working
job
with-
description you guys are working on should show
Okay.
the differences.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see in the
Okay.
job description
Absolutely.
how this person,
Okay.
Alex, whoever, is gonna be utilized efficiently for the 30 hours a week that we work.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Understood.
I think they're
It would-
bringing,
It'd be 16 on the PIO side, and the rest would be on the IT side still.
But I need to know, for 16 hours a week,
Uh-huh.
what on earth is he gonna do every week for he or she,
I understand.
whoever you?
Understand.
It's
Okay.
just, you know, I'm fine if there's no PIO business going on and he flows over to assist you and your overload, I'm fine with that. But I think that needs to be part of this description on how you're gonna fill these hours
Okay.
in the event there's nothing going on. I mean, and hopefully, there's not a lot of
Right, I
PIO
understand.
information. That usually happens when
Okay.
we have a disaster of some sort.
Understood. I will work that, make
Great.
certain that I can send to the job
Perfect,
description.
thank you.
yeah,
I
I
appreciate
think
that.
we just
Alright.
keep moving forward and,
Okay.
and,
Yeah.
take her one chunk at a time.
Alright,
All right,
sounds
sir,
like a
thank
plan.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in, Vern. Without objection, gentlemen, I'd like to take a 10-minute recess. We have an employee leaving this week. Tomorrow's the last day. So would like to at least have the opportunity to say goodbye to her. I asked if her supervisor thought it was appropriate to bring her in. She said, no, probably not. So we're going to go say goodbye to her real quick. So with you folks' understanding and patience, we'll just take a short break. Stand in recess.
sorry.
I told Bill we were ready to start. But, no, that doesn't mean much.
I was asked by the RFP committee, one of their members has
Probably not. Because we already made these people wait. This thing would take long. Yeah, and I'll probably refer to, for changing the agenda, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm gonna get sued. It's like they all came here for vacation. I hope you mess up with my fingers.
Commissioner meeting will come back to order. Thank you for your patience for that break. We appreciate it. Commissioner Prince, go ahead.
Thank you for being recognized. I would like to request, at the request of the Justice Center RFP folks, if we could readjust the agenda to put them up next, since they have some time constraints. And I told them that I would move that we do that. So I'll go ahead and move that we move the consideration of Justice Center RFP to the first item of new business.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda. Chair would seek council's opinion on a point of parliamentary order here. I would have been fine doing this if we'd have done it during the amendment to the agenda. I guess I would look to you, number one, for input on changing the agenda at this point in the ballgame.
Well, you're the expert on Robert's Rules of Order, actually, but I don't think that there's a problem changing the agenda, as long as all the items are still there, just moving them around a little bit.
Yeah, we have done it in the past, not during
Right.
the new business portion of the agenda. I'm a little concerned about that. I would ask, and I know it's a little awkward, but Chair would continue to allow the motion if the tourism folks would concur. If somebody has a problem, and it would only take one for the chair to rule against this motion and rule it out of order, but I would, if the tourism's fine with that, certainly the chair would allow the motion. Further discussion? Hearing none, it's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda by moving consideration of the Justice Center RFP to the first item of new business. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. So we will, give me just a second here. And I also would like to thank the tourism folks for your understanding here. When we set this agenda, it's a living document until 24 hours before the meeting, but certainly things just, they go on the agenda primarily as they come to the commissioner's office. So thank you again, tourism folks, we appreciate that. So the next item of business, we'll move on to new business. First item is consideration of a Justice Center request for a proposal. Any items under new business, we will take public comment prior to a vote. So with that, I would ask who wants to be the spokesperson for that. Ms. Ann, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
How are
Thank
you?
you.
Good. So maybe if you don't mind, I can just set the stage real quick while you're settling in. The commissioners have certainly been moving towards finding the direction that the county needs to go, considering a new justice center. We have been meeting over the last year or so. We have a citizens group of 12 or 13 people, and then we've had some subcommittees come out of that committee as well. Thank you, ma'am. And so, the most recent action was that the county submitted a grant to underfunded Court Security Commission and was granted that. That grant was awarded to the tune of $30,000 to try to figure out where we go forward from this point, primarily in how to approach the community. And so we tasked a subcommittee last week to come up with an RFP, and I think that brings us to where we're at today.
Yes.
So with that, I would turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. The subcommittee was Stephen Bauer, George Veltman, and myself. And we drafted this. All of you received this via email. This is a hard copy, and I apologize, the draft cover letter cut off, but
We
it'll
have
be
a
fine.
copy that didn't.
Right.
I know
The
that's
cover
their
letter.
copy, but and the cover letter.
So, for the purposes for the audience to also know, this is a request for proposal to inform and assess public response to a proposed tax increase to finance necessary improvements to the court and law enforcement facilities, hereinafter known as Justice Center. The purpose of this is to find out where the citizens would be and what they would accept. And when we say proposed tax, don't automatically assume that it's one way. It could be a combination, it could be a single one. We're not going to make any judgments until we know what they find out, whoever the awarded company is, and what they recommend, and then take that back to the Justice Center Committee.
Did you say the combination of taxes or combination of taxes, grants, and other sources? What did you mean?
Well, there'll be funding from grants also. There also, you could look at mill levies, you could look at sales tax, you could look at anything that would bring in money. So I don't want to have it become self-limited at this point until we get their recommendations. That's basically it. Time is of the essence, a little pressure there, because to get anything on the ballot, it has to be approved and accepted and ready to go by September 1st. So when you get the timelines for notices in the paper and then to get proposals back, we're looking at mid-April when we would finally be able to get a company to work on this. So, and you have to give them time to do it, and then time for a ballot measure to be written up. So we need to work diligently, not carelessly, but diligently, to get this to where Kelly's office would have it timely to give them time to put that and approve it.
Okay.
Were there any questions with this sent out?
Martha, just for the public, so as we talk about the funding for this particular, how we're gonna pay for this process, if this RFP is approved,
That's correct.
yeah, where's the money gonna come from?
That's what we need, that's what they're going to assess.
I said that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
The purpose of the RFP is to find out what the public is willing to do to help build a justice center.
Yes, it's
The money
also,
to hire the company to do this, where's that money coming
oh,
from?
that's from the, I'm sorry. It's from the grant that
That's
we
what I wanted you
received.
to
So
tell the public.
this process, this RFP is already funded.
That's what I wanted you to tell. Thank you.
It's a not to exceed, sorry, it's a not to exceed 30K is what you've got in the RFP.
That's
so
correct.
That's clear.
This company will also help us market the needs for a justice center and the future needs. We have to look not only for today, but 20, 30 years down the road. Just as our forefathers did this building, that in that time, and I tell this to everybody, wasn't needed. They needed a building, but they didn't need something, but they had the ability to look ahead and say, if we build this now, it will serve for a long time. And it has. It has. And we want to be the same for our future generations and for ourselves. That's my marketing spiel.
Good job. I would like to move that we approve the RFP. We move forward with it, and we get this out, and let's get our proposals in, and let's move from there.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the RFP, and I'm assuming the cover letter.
And the cover, well, the cover letter has a few errors
Yeah.
on it.
So we'll just do the RFP, or you want to do them both?
No, let's do them both.
Okay.
But we'll fix
All
that.
right.
We need some typos, there's nothing serious.
The motion is to approve the RFP and the cover letter. Discussion about that. I have some, but I will defer. Commissioner Prince?
I'm actually okay with it. I mean, I've been involved with this. I stopped in and said hello while they were working on it. I'm certainly not going to say I'm part of the committee or anything, but we all agree that time is of the essence. I think this is diligent, appropriate, and we need to get it moving.
Okay, and I have a couple comments.
Go ahead.
And thanks for doing this. This is very concise, and it's to the point, and did a good job. The only question I have is suggested timeline, and I'm assuming you worked with Kelly and others, but we don't want to call it a suggested timeline if we're accepting it. We want to make sure we all agree that those are actually what should have. So, want to
If-
talk about that?
Yes, if we can get this approved today and we finalize it and get it in the paper next week, this timeline would follow for that 2-week posting, and then the timeline for the response is accurate. We can reduce our internal timelines and make that to where 1 week for review, we can say approximate, and we work for a 1 to 2 day review and shorten those. So I don't know the best way to word that. We don't need a week for a decision, and we can cut out, we said possible presentations. It was recommended by Lisa Rowe of the Judicial Administration Office to eliminate the presentations. But if we need it, we need to keep it in there for a possibility. Doing that, we can reduce this to mid-April.
So this is a worst-case schedule, is
Yes.
what you've presented. That's okay, it's what you want to call it. So
Right.
this has margin quote in it, because you know that you could probably review it in 3 days instead of a week. Those kinds of things. That's good to understand.
That's
And
correct. The
that makes
committee
this legit.
has made themselves available to do this as quickly as possible.
And I'm fine personally with the suggested timeline, because that's what we're working towards, knowing timelines often get altered, so I have no problem leaving the term suggested in there. to
I'm
be
just
honest
looking at it
with
from a contractor's point of view, Jay. It's either real or it's not. Is it gonna fluctuate? You see, they execute to a timeline, and it can change, but that notice can occur during the execution
I
of the
understand what you're saying.
process. So
I
I would
agree.
leave it as a timeline.
Yeah.
And we understand there's margin in it, and you can even point that out. This is the worst-case schedule, and the contractor ought to understand
So going along with your thinking, Bill, on the request for possible presentation, add the word by April 20th and put approximately 1 week for decision,
Sure.
April 27th.
That gives them the window.
Right, and then everything else is, their deadlines are solid, our deadlines are
Right.
fluctuating.
I'm good with that.
That way you can grade the contract too. If he doesn't come in here and he said, wait a minute, I just got mine done 2 days, or tomorrow, day after tomorrow, can I bring it in then?
Correct.
Okay.
So you're considering changing the posting date from March 13th?
No,
Okay,
that's the date that the papers are published, so we would have to have our first publication that date.
okay. So my questions are a little more technical about the document itself, that I want to address now. I'm going to suggest that, both in the cover letter and in this RFP, that we put Kara Evans' name on this document. She can certainly accumulate any RFPs.
I agree. That's a
I
very
don't
good
think
point.
either of the three of us need to be that point of contact at this point. So I would
agree.
recommend that. I would also recommend anywhere that there is money discussed, that it is dollar signed and put in a proper format there. I'm not real high on 30K being in an RFP going to the public. I don't mind having that discussion
No,
internally.
it should be
but,
exactly what you're saying.
I so
0
corrected that.
cents.
And then insert the date that's appropriate above the RFP proposal evaluation factor, so. And then I had a question about, on those evaluation factors, I don't know how you're gonna measure somebody's ability to meet the timeline. I would say maybe consideration of their timeline. Maybe the timeline they submit either doesn't fit ours or whatever, but,
I think what we're doing there is asking them to make sure they can meet it. And what we've found in other RFPs, we had companies actually say, I have this big project, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. And they just have to be honest with us, and if they can't, we find out they're not meeting their timeline, then we have to address that.
Okay.
But I think they have to be honest with us.
I
And-
think that's a good point, and we actually did that with that last proposal, when we evaluated the contracts against each other, what was the ability for RJA or whoever to meet the schedule
Correct.
based on their past history. So you make sure that's what you're doing.
yeah, we just have to take them at their word, whatever they tell us, right? Because we're not gonna be able to hold them to anything, because the timeline hasn't even started by the time they submit this, so.
That's correct, and we do have some way of saying, look, you gotta keep our project in the loop the way it's supposed to be.
Priority.
And then, I know this is a draft, so I don't mean to try to hold your feet to the fire, but on page 1, items number 2 and 3, how are they going to draft their RFP if they don't know what other spaces are or certain items?
They can
Do
get a copy of that architect report showing that, and that's available upon request,
Okay,
as stated in the paragraph above that.
yeah. Okay, and you're comfortable with them being able to get that document from Riley Johnson and,
No, I have it.
We have to
I
issue.
know we have it,
It
that's
has
not
to-
my point. You said they
But-
can get that from the architect, correct?
No, they're getting, Riley Johnson's architect report is available. I will give it to Kara.
Part of that
If they request it, then she can send it out to them.
Okay,
We decided not to print it because it's rather lengthy and would be a cost factor that might
And they
not be
get a
necessary.
soft copy at the request?
Yes,
Right, so that would be.
yes.
yeah, my point was, this timeline probably not gonna allow them to get with Riley Johnson, do all that stuff.
That's
They can
correct.
contact Kara and have her get them a copy.
Although we have given them
digitally.
2 weeks. If they really want the job, they can do it.
Get on, that's exactly right. And I don't think it's appropriate to have potential folks who accept the RFP to be interfacing with Riley Johnson.
Right.
I think they would come to us with this question. We don't know. We can go to Riley Johnson and say, we had a request for this information. So
That's
I don't think it's
correct.
appropriate they should do that.
And Riley Johnson did provide us with those architect reports for disbursement upon request. So they're in the knowledge of that.
And then my other question was in your title, to assess public response to a proposed tax increase to finance necessary improvements to court and law enforcement facilities. Is that where we're headed, or is this an RFP for construction of a new justice center?
No.
No, this is truly just to assess public,
How to
the
raise
citizens, and to inform them and educate them for a ballot measure to get us started on the road to then look into ways of funding the courthouse, Justice Center.
So this whole RFP may come back to say, well, we're going to remodel the courthouse.
No, I think there's a misunderstanding here. This is to go out, say for example, the first thing they do is a survey that they send out to the citizens and assess, what do you know about the current courthouse situation? And I'm just taking from my marketing experience what might happen. And then how do you feel about, would you support XYZ? And then they would take that data, compile it, come back to us and say, you have 100% support on this. Or maybe you need to just look at a phase. Maybe you need to do this. That's what we need from an expert company to show us where we can go.
And I think, I agree with you completely, Ann, but I think part of this also would be asking the citizens, if you support this, at what level are you willing to contribute to this?
Support
Correct.
what is my question?
Support a justice center.
Okay, because this does not talk about that. I mean, it says to finance necessary improvements to court and law enforcement facilities. I was never under the understanding we were going to try to improve anything, that we were going to try to build a new justice center. Now, maybe I missed the mark somewhere, but I just think it should say
Finance necessary
to
costs for.
public
justice.
response to a proposed tax increase to finance the construction of a new justice center.
Right.
I don't see any problem with that. I mean, that's what we're expecting them to say to us. This is what we need, this is the way we're gonna go about it. And if we have something we want to change, then we talk with them about it. I mean, this is just to set the stage for us to
Right.
work with them. This is not a contract.
Well, but my concern is this, that they might come back and say, okay, here's the choices we want to paint to your community. Build a justice center, build a portion of the justice center, or remodel the current jail or courthouse, and I don't want any part of that. We've already gone down that road, right?
We already have that. We've already got the architect drawings. We've already gone through the grant process and all of that. This is the next phase.
Right.
This statement is for the companies with the RFP. This is not going out to the
Understood.
citizens.
Understood, yep. I'd just like to see the words necessary improvements to court and law enforcement facilities to be taken out of there and put in for the construction.
These new structures are an improvement over the delivery of all this stuff. I mean, this is just a building. It's improving the service that's provided as a result of these. I mean, I really.
Yeah, I mean, I just think when,
Let me help here a second. I think Tom has a good point.
Do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, hey, Steve, let me help here a second. We're not asking for more options. This is a contract that says we've already got a justice center proposed, and we've all agreed it meets our needs for an improved justice capability to provide those services. And so I think just from a public perception point of view, this contract is only an RFP to go execute the marketing, to get the pulse of the public on the different options that are proposed here as to be costed out. So I think it's pretty good. I don't think there's a problem with we just need to.
Bill, I agree with you completely, but the aspect that we've spoken about on this is also, what are you willing to do, And the reason we ask, what are you willing to do? Because the funding needs to be a part of this. I mean, we want to do the whole shebang if we can.
That's my
but-
point. But see, we have a new justice center that was proposed. You look it down here, there's 3 ways to attack it. And they're
Right.
putting those in there. There's,
Right.
you can break it in pieces, or will you support the whole enchilada at one time? That's what this is gonna address.
And that's the key to this. Not only what is it you want, but what are you willing to support
That's right.
financially?
And so, so Tom's only point was, it's a title. And so we're not gonna finance necessary improvements to this courthouse. We're gonna make improvements to the system that we've talked about, and we've already got that answer. We know what our needs
So
are.
if
and
you
what
just
we'll do.
added the words "with the construction of a new
Right,
Justice Center,"
Then
I think that
it
solves,
solves the problem.
does that
So
solve
if you
your
worded
angst?
it like finance necessary construction.
For the construction
Necessary
of,
construction
Proposals,
well, for the
construction.
necessary construction of
of
a
a new justice center, and then in,
justice center.
it's okay.
I don't,
That takes care of it.
Necessary construction proposals for a new justice center.
But obviously, it's important for anybody who's going to respond to the RFP to understand specifically what it is we
It's the-
want you to respond to.
That's right, and it's, what she's trying to get in there is what it is the various options, proposals to get to that justice center that we've all described as our need.
So to summarize this, are we saying increase to finance necessary construction proposals for a new justice center? And take
think-
out hereinafter known as justice center?
Tom, can I,
go ahead, sir. Thank you for asking.
I think there may be some confusion,
Bless you.
not about this, but on the part of the public, and maybe even the folks that are here. We're not talking about building a new courthouse. Traditionally, the
Right.
courthouse has always been a building like this, where you have the courtrooms, the judicial part of it, but it also houses other Custer County government offices. This building is gonna stay here. We call it a courthouse, probably. It would be good if this is approved and we have a new justice center, that we start calling this the Custer County Administration Building instead, because we're not really the courthouse anymore. But just going forward for the public to understand, we're not talking about replacing this building with a new building that's gonna house all of the government offices. It's strictly for the courts, for the sheriff, and for the detention facility, because that's what's happening now all around the state. They're building justice centers that incorporate those facilities together, and they're totally separate from the rest of county government.
I appreciate that, Clint, and also, just to add a quick note, that from the beginning of this project, that it's been known and learned by the citizens on there, the absolute necessity for an updated detention center. The state is on us. It just has to be done in some way. And this building is breaming at the seams. These people need more space. This is something that we have to be diligent about fixing. So this is the next step.
And the other thing I can say, from having been in the judicial department for a number of years, we have one of the worst judicial facilities here in Custer County right now, very worst in the entire state. And if we don't get this done, the state is going to force us to. They've done that in some other counties and taken legal action to force the county to provide adequate facilities, because it is a statutory requirement for each county to provide adequate facilities for the judicial function.
Correct, absolutely correct.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
I would just like to say, I'd like to amend my motion to say that we accept the RFP with the modifications that we approved this morning.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second it, it's good. If I'll
It's
remove my second
been
and second, whatever is right.
Moved
way
and
to-
seconded to approve this with some modifications that we're making this morning. So I had typed in the title, a request for proposal, RFP to inform and assess public response to a proposed tax increase to finance the construction of a justice center.
I
Why don't we
think
say, let me make
I like that, it's succinct
Well,
and to the point.
I like that. I would, instead of saying a tax increase, I'd say funding proposals, because the word, it's multiple ways to fund it. It's not, we're not just going after a tax, potentially,
Well, the,
But I
or
think
bonds, or
But
whatever.
I think who's getting the RFP, our question to them is,
That's okay.
we're gonna get our own money in.
It's just a marketing thought.
Yeah, I understand, but just to counter that just slightly, I think this is to say, what is the citizenry willing to help fund? I mean, we'll tell them we got this grant, we got this bond, whatever. Oh, we're getting a bond, because we'll have to
Could
prove
be
that.
grants too.
And grants, but this is for, what is the citizenry willing to help pay for this? How would they be willing to do it?
That's
Is it gonna be a tax increase, is it gonna
May
be
just
a
be
levy,
nibble
is
and
what's it gonna be? And maybe both.
yeah, I actually agree. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. I do agree with Commissioner Kanda that I think proposed funding measures is better than tax increase, because we may want to find out if the citizens will support general obligation bonds. We may want to find out if they support a sales tax.
Or a mix of taxes and grants.
And citizen-supported funding is the right way to say it. Because some of the funding won't have citizen support if we get
I
a
get it, I
grant.
understand.
So
Right.
if we had citizen-supported funding, I'm fine with those words.
So to proposed, and it, well, I hate to split hairs, but we're only going to get one shot at this, right? We're not going to see this document again, so we need to go through it and finalize it
Not-
today.
Not this election year.
No, I'm saying today, this document, right?
Yeah, this is it.
This is it.
You're not coming back next
No.
month.
No.
So we need to go through this today.
That's
my
right.
point. So I guess I do mean to split hairs.
But this
I want to know if
title,
the citizens
Tom,
will support the commissioners selling general obligation bonds as well. It's not just about taxes, to me.
My point's not
But-
about, it's about how to fund it. What will they support?
So-
They're gonna come up with a lot of those.
Citizen funding takes care of everything.
Well, general
Yes, it
general
does.
obligation bonds may not be citizen funding.
may I say something?
Let's go back.
This guy, you guys are way in the weeds here.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I just said. We're only going to get one shot at
We're
it.
not worried about funding right now. That's, the point of this is not about where the funds are coming from.
True.
The point is to go out and just ask, and we're gonna work that out with the firm. They're not gonna tell us
Right.
what they're gonna put out to the public. We're gonna tell them what we need them to ask them, and that's gonna happen long after this meeting is done.
I
You
think-
guys are in
let
the
me-
weeds. This is a 30,000-foot RFP.
Right.
I don't wanna be in the weeds, Shannon. The only point I was trying, this is a public document, it's my only issue. And they're gonna see the title, and the title's gonna say tax. That's all, I'm not worried about the mechanism, the weeds and all that. It's how you market even this
So then
piece. You
just
gotta be
say
careful.
Analysis of funding.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Be very general.
How to
We
fund
can
it.
take out that word tax, but I think, I'm with Shannon, this is,
We're not getting into how to do it. I don't,
you're gonna take up $30,000 discussing the title.
no, we're not.
Well, we've sat in this meeting, and I'll guarantee you, we've hurried through these documents, and they've come back to bite us in the butt, and I don't want to go down that route. This is the first time we've had a chance to talk about it, correct? And this is the last chance we're going to get to talk about it. So I don't care if we're in the weeds or not, I want this document to reflect what these three commissioners think ought to go out, whether it's to the companies, or hits the newspaper, or anywhere else. That's all I'm saying.
all I'm saying.
I got questions and problems with some of the wording. That's it. So if we have to get in the weeds, I'll get in the weeds, because I don't want to sit here with egg on our face in 2 weeks going, well, you guys screwed that RFP up. We've already been down that road on another RFP. So,
So, that's right, so let's move
So
on.
we agreed with what y'all were saying with the funding wording, changing and taking out tax.
okay, so to assess a public response for a funding mechanism, funding measures, I don't know what,
For funding a
Funding
new
the
justice center.
Keep it simple.
to assess public response,
For funding of the justice,
For,
proposed justice center.
That's exactly right. That's just,
Yeah.
you can't get more succinct than that. I agree with Bill.
for funding the construction of a new justice center.
Right.
That's it. Wright brothers' contract for the first airplane was 3 paragraphs.
I wish.
It was, and then you guys have done a good job. Look what you've got.
Okay, so RFP to inform and assess public response for funding the construction of a justice center.
Perfect.
Does RFP need to be in bracket parentheses? I don't think so, does it?
Yes, because
it does.
then you're using it throughout the document that way.
That's how you define it.
Okay. And then, gentlemen, are you all right with inserting Kara's information after we approve this? Do you want to do it before we vote on it?
No,
What's
we've
your-
already agreed that that was a good move, my view, when we discussed it.
And then a written estimate of the relative probability of voter approval of increases in taxes. Again, do you want to leave that there or in voter approval of funding measures?
I would make it consistent with your title
Yeah, I do too.
changes.
What's your date by?
And then, that was where I was headed. So then do you want to stick a date in there as of now?
Given the schedule, put it.
And let's see here, didn't Kelly, you need your things. I was giving us till the end of August to have that all ready. So
What-
say
that's-
mid-April
When do you,
You have
to
March 1st,
mid-May,
2019.
June. I honestly don't know what's appropriate in an RFP for this type of work. I would imagine you have to give them a minimum of 30 days, but
well,
it might be
back up from
more.
what Kelly needs, that's the easiest way. We have to have it,
I'm giving us end of August to have that finished with her.
and we got
And we
back
have
off
to
of
have
that.
30 days to get it written, approved,
So that's-
accepted,
that's
and on the
first of,
ballot.
What, July?
The
Then
end
you
of
back up
July,
from there
end
would
of
be
July.
the 1st of June to get these, why not?
Well, yeah, I would say that's giving them 45 days to
Right.
do it.
That's fine.
So you
put
want
a
to
date.
say June 1st?
Sure.
That's all I needed there.
Okay.
It's in red where you had Friday, March 1st, right?
No,
You're
that was a
changing that.
blank in there. I'm
It's a blank
changing it.
on the top
It's
of
on
the-
the,
What page you on?
Project
Second.
Oh, I
description.
got you, okay, thank you.
So I inserted June 1st, 2020.
right,
What day
Next
of the week is
page.
that? Make it logical.
yeah. That would be-
Might be June 2nd if it's
Let me look.
Saturday.
I'll look for you, hang on a second.
June first is a Monday.
That's
June
perfect.
1st is Monday, thank you.
There you go.
Correct. And the next page, we have a date to fix too.
Mhm.
Um, Deadline for submitting a response, you want to leave that in March?
It's April 10th.
2 weeks from posting.
Could you check the day of the week on that, please? April 10th.
April 10th and Friday, that's good.
Get it from
Okay.
Lisa.
And it was 19, I changed that to 2020.
Right, that's why it was in red, it was to fix that.
Okay. So any questions? Go to Lisa.
Kara. Oh,
Okay.
you're talking about Lisa Rowe?
Questions and inquiries
Yes.
prior to the deadline for submission of questions. Applicants may submit written questions to Lisa or Kara.
Kara, and then Kara can disseminate them.
No.
That would be the way I thought we had it.
I don't,
I thought we were talking about questions about what
The
needs to
RFP.
be in the RFP? I think that would be a Lisa
Lisa Road.
question,
Mm-hmm,
personally.
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree with that.
Okay.
yes, we'll keep
What do you
that.
think, Sheriff?
I would think we'd want it to go through the county, because Lisa Rowe isn't gonna specifically know, pick a question, maybe Jay may have, or some.
Right, do you want metal doors or wooden doors, or?
Right, that's where the specific.
Yeah, that's another one.
I don't think that, I think that's way beyond the scope of what this RFP is gonna do. The purpose of the
Yes.
RFP is to find out public reaction
Right,
to the concept, and if you are, at what level you're willing to support it. They may come back, the public may come back and say to us, heck no, we've been taxed to death, we just have no interest in this.
Then
It's
what-
possible.
The point is a good one. It's questions related to the execution of this proposal that they would have. And so if you really mean this timeline, why can't it be something else? And that wouldn't be,
I don't think that'd be a Lisa question.
Yeah.
I would suggest keeping Kara in here, and then she can disseminate the questions to the committee.
That's what I think.
And when it comes to emails, it's BOCC admin. at. Because I'm afraid if we put submit written questions to Kara at BOC, I mean, we could, but,
Well, you could put, and that's okay, they can address it to her, you could put it in parens if you want to, but that's the address for Karen.
right.
I would use her name.
Okay, and then, do we want and need 8 copies and 1 digital?
This was taken from the template used for the previous RFP. I wasn't sure where those 8 copies went.
I know
So-
we asked for it when we had our RFP for the architect. I don't know if we need 8 copies.
I don't think we do, I think that was because we had a bigger committee and everybody got a copy to take a look at them.
I would think 4 in a digital would be sufficient, but
I agree. You got the digital, that's all you need.
what do you think about that, Miss Ann?
Who would get the 4 copies?
They would come to this office.
And then anybody can ask for them and we can look at them here ourselves, so have them on file here to review.
Because that's what we've asked them to do, right,
I-
is submit them to this office.
Yeah, I would say 6, 3
Okay.
for the RFP committee and 3 for the commissioners.
Okay,
And then leave those on file for the public to come in and take a look at, that don't have computers, if they wanted to.
okay. And then that same sentence, the firm shall submit 6 hard copies and 1 electronic copy of the RFP.
Correct.
We don't really need their response to, right? It's of the RFP.
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna delete those words then. Anything else, gentlemen?
Nope.
Couple of needs.
Pardon me?
I got a question
We're done
out
with
there.
this, the cover
Oh,
letter.
okay, yeah.
You got a question?
Questions? Yeah, we'll go, I'll allow it, go ahead.
You wanna wait till public comment, or what?
There's a motion on the floor, but I don't have.
That's fine, yeah, typically, but we'll take it.
3 things I would just like to say. Number 1, that this committee did not understand that this was gonna put us out 45 minutes.
I didn't
don't know
either.
what the urgency was to
Right.
move them, but that's my first point. My second point is that the publication date at the Tribune would be the 12th, not the 13th. And my third thing is that we just completed a survey of the citizens in this county, and it didn't cost us anywhere near $30,000. Those are
Okay.
my 3 comments.
All right, thank you. Since we're here, we'll go ahead and allow public comment. Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
I have a question about the logistics of the RFP. Does this outline specifically to the companies that we're looking to send the RFP out to, regarding references? That's one of the questions for you.
No, it's put out for bid
Right,
to anybody that wants to respond.
I understand that, but in the RFP, does it ask for references from the companies that are responding?
Right. Or to be used as an evaluation factor, either one.
That'd be in the previous experience.
The reason I ask is because going to Tom's comment regarding ability to adhere to a timeline, if you had the references of previous clients, you could follow up with that and see how
That was my point.
their ability to stick to a timeline.
So what that would do for quickness here on page 2, under the evaluation factors, add previous experience and 3 references.
And they should outline it.
What number?
Number 1,
Previous experience and
3 references.
With contact info.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other public comment? Your motion was to approve both of these documents. If we're done with this one, we'll move on to the cover letter. Okay.
Hard to read the cover letter because it's chopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe just suggest that we take out the firm name, address, city, state, and zip, because this is gonna be posted on the website. I don't think it's critical that we get that information from anybody, or that we have to post that. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say is, the salutatory line, I just don't think we need it here. We can address these to anybody.
You're on the cover letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Personally, Tom, this is an administrative document. It's not gonna be posted. This is to go out for anybody requesting, that we know of firms that want to bid. And I have to say, in response to that one comment, a lot of this is stuff that could have been fixed when I emailed this out yesterday.
Yep.
And I apologize to that group because I didn't know
Okay.
it would take this much time.
Okay. I assume this cover letter would be posted on the website.
Let me ask a question before we get into the nuts and bolts here. We're gonna have a meeting tomorrow. The urgency of this cover letter, I don't know why we can't have you guys go back, given how we've modified the RFP, come back to us with a proposed administrative letter here, and we can ratify that tomorrow if we want to say, to honor it's 11:30 now, that's all.
Right.
So-
And this was done by the admin last time for the
Right.
RFP last
Right, and
time.
it was after the fact, and
Right.
we
It
don't
wasn't
ever
even
wanna put
approved.
something out that isn't grammatically correct and all that. That has to go through that check, so I think we ought to save the time. We don't need to-
I absolutely agree. I'm not available tomorrow, but I'm glad to fix it and send it to
Well,
you.
that's my point, we can do that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'd be more than willing to just do the typographical stuff that we
Right,
Right.
need to do here to match the RFP.
yeah, it's easy to do.
Don't have a problem with that
Leave it
either.
to
You wanna
you.
postpone till tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do
Then
that, let's move on.
Chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we move on. How do you want me to say it?
I move that I withdraw my motion at this time
For both.
and propose that I have the right to remake that motion at a later date, most likely tomorrow.
Okay. Or you can just move to postpone, and you don't have to withdraw your motion if you don't want. It's up to you.
Move to postpone then.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to postpone the item of business concerning the RFP and the cover letter, until tomorrow. We will put that on the agenda late, because we will not meet our 24-hour posting requirements if we put it any earlier, so, we will have to take that into consideration, but I think we'll be fine. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This item has been postponed until tomorrow. Thank you guys for your work. Didn't mean to impugn that, but I hope you appreciate the fact this is the only time we're gonna see this before it goes out. Then I would also just say, I'm assuming that, Commissioners, you want this on the letterhead,
Yes.
okay?
And
Go ahead.
if I send out an email, please respond so that I can have it ready because I cannot be here tomorrow.
Okay, an email with,
Any
changes, she's
changes
gonna
or
correct the
drafts,
letter.
because
all right,
we didn't get that.
okay. I made all the changes
Except
as we
for a
were
couple.
going,
Okay.
but,
I think we're good with the RFP. I think we're discussing this cover letter. That's the focus.
well, and yeah, and the cover letter is just adding
So
Kara's
one last
name
request,
and
when
information.
you finish with yours, send it to me.
I will do that, yep. Do you, just let me get your preferential email so I know.
abarthrop@msn.com.
Okay.
This was not a waste of time.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you guys' work.
So Jay's motion that he had on the floor will carry
Postponed.
over till tomorrow or die?
Yeah, no, it's postponed, so it'll carry till tomorrow. The motion stays in effect, we just, applied the motion to postpone to it, still a live motion. Thank you again, Ann, appreciate you guys' work. Okay, so with that, next item on the agenda is consideration of approving the 3 tourism board meetings. Tourism board, you have a spokesman, or do you want us to deal with this?
Bob Swanson and Peggy Collins, I'll let Bob speak.
Okay, thank you, you're welcome to come up.
Sure. You want me on mic, I assume?
Yes, that's the intent. Hello, sir, how are you? Good to see you.
That's how I'm on record.
Yeah, our live streaming has a hard time picking up the audio.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, so we're here today. We have some folks that we would like to get involved in the tourism board who have showed great interest. And the board has ferreted out any applications and have accepted. You know, the people that are here today with us because of their assets that they bring to the tourism board and because of their energy that they will also bring. And so who we have, and I'll do my best to make sure I don't forget names because it's only been once, but we have
I'll help you if you need it.
Deborah Snell.
Yep.
We have Deborah Snell
Yep.
back here, and we have Wade Pettis and Jackie Shepherd Pettis, and then we have Candace McDaniel. And the first 3 that I mentioned would be a 3-year term, and Candace would be an ex officio 1-year term.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Prince, I get the sense that you want to say something, sir.
I do, sir.
All right.
Thank you. I would wholeheartedly move that we accept Deborah Snell of Wetmore, Jackie Shepherd Pettis of Westcliff, and Wade Pettis of Westcliff for a 3-year term through January 2023 as members of the Tourism Board. I'd also like to recommend the appointment of Candace McDaniel, a wonderful asset to our community, as an ex officio member for a 1-year term through January 21st.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the appointments recommended by the Tourism Board of Deborah Snell, Jackie Shepherd, and Wade Pettis, along with Candace McDaniel as ex officio member. Discussion.
Just a quick one, I know the answers to, I think. So, vacancy positions, how many were there originally?
Well, we had 1 vacancy right now.
And how many board members are you allowed to have it by your bylaws?
Up to 9.
Where does this put us?
There'd be 7.
So there's 1 more position you could find if you wanted to. And why are you only ex officio?
Me? I'm the president of the chamber, and I own a business here in town that's highly active in the summer.
So you're too
And-
busy.
Well, yeah, I really report chamber business because the visitor center is in the chamber. I'm reporting to the tourism board and
Okay.
And just the continuity of us having some
Does she
continuity
have
with it.
voting rights as an official?
No.
All right, those are the questions I had for the record.
I just want to clarify in the recap that you made, Mr. Chairman, that Deborah Snell, Jackie Shepherd Pettis, and Wade Pettis are for a 3-year term.
Right, expired January 23.
Correct. That was the motion, but
Yes.
that wasn't the recap.
Yeah, I didn't
That's fine.
restate
I
the
just want to
motion
make
to
sure I
include that.
got it put out properly.
Yep. And so, according to my count, and I'm gonna bring this up now, so if we have a discrepancy, we can deal with it. Peggy Collins, Debbie Collins, Debbie Adams, Jenny Anderson, Bob Swanson are the current sitting members. So if we add 3 more, it brings it to 7 with 1 ex officio, so.
That is correct.
You wanna count that as a total of 8. And then my records indicate Jenny Anderson was for, her term expired in January of 23 also. I think she was recommended to us in December for approval in January.
That is correct, of
So-
2018 to 2019.
So Peggy and Debbie's terms would end in January 21. Everybody else 23 with the exception of the ex officio member. Okay? Further discussion, gentlemen? I would say thank you for your interest. Appreciate that. I think the tourism board's rocking it, and I think they're very excited to have you guys on board from what I understand, so appreciate your interest and willingness to serve. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the 3 members and 1 ex officio member, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Just for the record, we
you.
made them sit through a tourism board meeting to make sure that we like them.
Oh, okay. And now
They passed muster, huh?
And now they've sat through part of a commissioner meeting, so their opinion may change,
I've
but
been here for 4 hours or whatever.
I would.
it is.
Mine would.
Tenacity.
well, thank you, Bob, thank you for making that presentation, and then we'll move on. Next item is consideration of amending the board appointments. I would move that we amend the board appointments document. I think, gentlemen, I sent you a copy of that with these proposals on it. Debbie, Deb, Deborah, what do you prefer? Deb?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good to
See you guys, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Wasn't in the board package, was it?
no, I think I sent it to you external of that. So I would move that we add Deb Snell, term 123, Jackie Shepherd, term 123, Wade Pettis, 123, Candace McDaniel, ex officio, 121, and also to strike, just a second here, to strike Beth Archuleta from the Southern Colorado RETAC.
Good point.
And to move Rob Fogel from an alternate to a seated member.
I'll second the motion.
We move and seconded to amend the board appointments document to add the 3 seated members, 1 ex officio member, to strike Beth Archuleta from the Southern Colorado RETAC board and insert Rob Fogel in that place. Discussion? Public comment? The board relieved her of her duties as her manager of the emergency services. It's a great question. She's not with the county. She may continue to be an employee of the district. I don't know that. If I had to guess, I would say yes, she probably is. I think they relieved her of her managerial duties. Further public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of amending the board appointment document, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. Kelly, you need a copy of this, or you okay,
Yeah,
or?
'cause I missed that whole.
Okay. I didn't highlight them in red, I just put them in there. So you're just gonna get the final document.
Have to look at the
Come-
old document.
okay.
and
Okay.
Can you just send that to me?
Yes, the old one?
No, the new.
Doing, yes, I can certainly do that, yep. Gentlemen, you need it, or are you okay? I can include you if you need it.
I would like it if you have
Um, Yep,
Well, I'll have a new one. Is that what you're talking about? Your
Yep.
amended?
our amended one, yes,
That's what I meant.
Any other items of business, gentlemen, that we've missed? Public comment? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just 1 second, because I did have one other thing, and that was just to amplify what's going on between the fiber guys and the broadband guys. Good meeting they had. The only issue that is there that we need to understand, and I'll only bring this up so you and I and Jay can have a conversation with Charles tomorrow, is how to deconflict the funding. Let me explain that. The way the government, the state funding is on these rural broadband, it's to the last mile, to the end user, the residents. And if there's a system already in place, then the funding that you're trying to get for other things could be canceled. So it's important that funding, they get together and coordinate schedules and where things are going to go. So, for example, the plan for the towers is to eventually have a fiber connecting one of those towers so that you've got a solid feed that's reliable. Right now, they're going to fire that with wireless fire from CCOM. So, and in the end, they were going to come back and go for other grants to get a feed for the towers. If they complete construction to an end user somewhere, then that meets the requirement to some end user that would say, all right, then you can't use those for the funding profile for the fiber coming in. So you got to coordinate the in-between hookup with the final delivery. And the delivery on the fiber can be done with trenching it into some addresses, or in town here, they trench it into wherever. It'll go out to the county, and they'll trench it in where they can, but in other places, the towers meet the requirements, see, is to meet the rest of the county. So it's important, and I'm glad that they're talking together and coordinating that. So we just want to make sure as commissioners that are on the hook for both, that we make sure we don't put in jeopardy funding for either project to make sure that it's complete. So that's all I'm saying. When we talk tomorrow, it's not about listening to them say, well, we got our money, we're going to hire this contractor, which, by the way, that was a point. The reason he wanted, I believe, and I don't know this for truth, I'm just supposing they're going to hire this guy that in the past has been working with them pro bono, with the expectation they would hire him to do some construction or some engineering or whatever it is.
What they're going to ask us money for? Is that why?
That was why they were looking for money, because they've got to get him working in order to get the grant done so that they can get the funding for the rest of the.
Now, by they, you're talking about
I'm talking about
economic.
CDCE, yeah, the Economic Development Group. That's all it is. We just need to make sure that we understand it in spades, and that because we're on the hook, not them. It's our money. We're accountable to make sure that it does come across. So that's all I want to say. We can get into a discussion tomorrow, and then we'll see how we look at interleaving the two programs to make sure they're not conflicting. And they embraced it. Had a good talk.
They being, I'm lost.
Bogle, the economic group embraced the cooperation with the fiber project with Carmel and Associates doing that. and they want to work together to make sure they come up with the complete program that gets fully funded on both sides. So just wanted to make you aware of that, so that we don't just focus on whoever's in the room, and then we make decisions that would be
Without taking the
adverse.
entire
That's right.
process into
And so
play.
in the
I get
future,
it.
we're probably gonna see
That's a good
more
point.
joint meetings, rather than listen to one or the other. We gotta make sure this is a big program now,
Right.
and incorporates the whole.
We cannot look at it one segment
That's
at a
right.
time, we have to look at it
That's
as a
right.
project.
It has to be the whole
I'm with you.
project.
I'm with you.
Not towers, it's not fiber,
I'm
it's.
with you.
Okay,
It's a
that's all I
project.
wanted to say.
And he's not on the agenda tomorrow to talk about broadband.
You know, he's on the agenda. Oh, is that affordable housing? What's he coming in here for?
I thought he was coming here to ask money, but I don't
I
know
did
what
too.
for.
I
No,
thought he
he's
was
on the
coming.
agenda to discuss the
Wasn't clear on the,
strategic planning,
was that all he's on the agenda for? Well, then,
so who knows where the conversation will
well-
go, but that's what he's on the agenda for.
well, eventually, we're gonna have to be sure we have a discussion on how he's gonna execute the money he's getting, so that we don't put the cart before the horse. That's all my point is.
Okay, we're getting the money, not him.
That's,
We'll
it's
make
our
the-
money,
We'll make the
and we'll
decision how
decide
that
who's
money is
executing it
spent.
too. That's right.
Absolutely correct. It is not his money.
That's right. So I haven't heard any, I just only took that, extrapolated that off of the report I got from
But I think your
Carmel.
point's well taken. We need to look at the totality of it,
Right.
not slice of pizza each.
Right, and I'm glad to see they're working now.
Good.
All right,
And
that's
you-
all I had.
You did get a report from
No, I haven't got it yet.
Carmel?
They told me they would have it today, so I'll forward it as soon as I get it to, the same as I did before, to all the entities, the mayors as well as
Sure.
all of us.
That's the Carmel report.
Right.
Yeah,
The-
okay.
I
Good.
report. Any questions?
Just Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn. I get that one.
I have three more.
No.
I second the motion.
Moving a second to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned.
I need all of you here for a minute. 'Cause
Okay, kinda depends on what you wanna talk about.
I wanna talk about this RFP, because the last time it was sent out for publication by the admin office here, and I don't wanna have any further delays. I would like for Kara to work with Tom, get these documents in order with the corrections made, send me a copy for approval, and then I'm assuming that the admin here will take care of making sure that all three papers, digital and hard copy, have the publication notice.
Sure.
Is that
Well,
okay?
you're not gonna get an answer from us. We did not determine who we were gonna mail it to or who we're gonna post it to. Our record of paper is the Tribune, but I don't know why she wouldn't, but we're not gonna make a decision about that.
Because the last RFP was.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I-
We're talking about this RFP.